Yo!
You got anyone you want to call out in the heavyweight division?
Oh, you know it, lad. You know that Hassan Piker? I'm coming to kill you! In Los Angeles, at your house!
Or in the ring?
No, in real life. I'm going to stalk him and become obsessed with him. And wear his makeup, and his dresses, and use his skin as a coat, like the ancient Irish did.
Well, that's your winner, Sam Hyde!
Bloody.
And now, the nations of the world who hate Johnny, presented by Eva. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, and French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam. Norway and Sweden and Iceland and Finland and Germany now one piece. Switzerland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Turkey and Greece. Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland, Russia, Oman. Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq and Iran. There's Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, both Yemen, Kuwait and Bahrain. The Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium and Portugal, France, England, Denmark and Spain. India, Pakistan, Burma, Afghanistan, Thailand, Nepal, and Bhutan, Cambodia, Malaysia, then Bangladesh, Asia, and China, Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Laos, and Tibet, Indonesia, the Philippine Islands, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, New Guinea, Sumatra, New Zealand, then Borneo, and Vietnam, Tunisia, Morocco, Uganda, Angola, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Swaziland, Gambia, Guinea, Algeria, Ghana. Burundi, Lesotho, and Malawi, Togo, the Spanish Sahara is gone. Niger, Nigeria, Chad, and Liberia, Egypt, and Nina, Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya, and Mali, Sierra Leone, and Algeria, Dahomey, Namibia, Senegal, Libya, Cameroon, Congo, Zaire, Ethiopia, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Majorca, Cayman, Montana, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Yugoslavia, Crete, Mauritania, then Pennsylvania, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Malta, and Palestine, Fiji, Australia, Sudan.
In the anime underworld, crimes against the culture are considered especially heinous. In Otaku City, the dedicated detectives who investigate these violations are part of an elite squad known as the Special Weeb Unit. These are their stories.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? If you're not doing good, I don't know, like take a Zoloft or something. Oh, forget that. Okay, we have a lot to cover today is what we have. The articles are gone. Okay, hold on, I have to get rid of Discord, for just a bit here. Actually, no, I'll keep Discord up and I'll keep it up in the right thread. Because I need this thread information for what we're doing here today. So welcome to everybody. We're gonna go ahead and do a quick little greeting as people continue to trickle in. Welcome to the chat, GP Ravenfire, McSkittles, Rigo, Francis Karma, Magma Fox, Synapse, Ike13D, the best Remy, Mr. Schnitzel, Tyrese Mills, a Lion Fan, Orbit and Decay, Spider Bro, Philip, Billy Donuts, Giro 101. That's pretty good being on the right side of history. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah. Until you're suddenly not on the right side of history. Oh, Shinobu Tezuka, welcome to the chat. And Eon Bar as well. Sweating and turning wrenches, but doing good. How about you? Doing alright, doing alright. We woke up and all kinds of stuff is going on. Let's see here. Alright, so we have apparently a little bit of Dokibird drama. The drama in the question is actually in the form of a video. Here, let me bring up the video itself.
This is...
Well, hey, I did not say you could open your mouth yet, okay? Cat in chat, god damn it. Okay, let's see here. 20 hours, 1 day, 8 hours, 1 day, 20, 16, 16, 11, 7, 17, 19. I'm looking for 22. I guess it's just gonna say 1 day now. But apparently, the video that we're gonna be reacting to, which is linked in the description down below, is this video was first it was up for a couple days or a day, and then it was like unlisted and people found it. The actual VOD that this is taken from is like over 4 hours long. This is an hour and 48 minutes. As it stands, that is an excessive amount of time. I'm going to try to get through this as best I can. There's timestamps, I guess. The tea is piping hot. The management mayhem. The management shuffle. You should have donated. The guilt trap. Oh my god. The budget gets weirder. Ducking responds and deflects. Oh my god. Yeah, this is a lot. Update to you. Oh my god. Okay, so we're gonna... Let me make sure I have everything, all my ducks in a row and stuff. Not gonna miss this one. I haven't heard about Dokibird's situation now. Oh yeah, okay. Me already did twin. Time to get off her. Because I already notified them, so we're good there. We need these 3 posts here. There we go. That is the Kershi doc, which I'll go over later. Full statement. Here's the actual document that I'm looking for. Damn. Alright, so we'll just this. So we're going to do it like this, guys. We are going to be moving chat over here. But more importantly, we're going to be going through Cat's video first. Because it's clear to me that the video came out before Dokibird's response. Because she did the update too. Doki had a response. Come to your conclusion. So we're gonna see basically from I'm not gonna do any setup here. I'm not gonna talk about what this is. I'm going to let Cat make her case with no contextualization on our part. So that is the benefit of the doubt that I'm going to afford this individual. We'll see if it ended up being worth it. We're gonna see. There we go. Now would be a good time to... No, now would not be a good time to insert ads. In fact, don't tell me... Hold on, we're gonna move this trash. We're gonna move this here so I can exit out of here. I don't want ads on my streams. I find it extremely annoying. What on earth happened? We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Okay, so I do have this entire VOD downloaded. Which I am contemplated, like, I thought about playing that. But we're going to play it from the, actual... Okay, it's still up and everything, so... We're going to do this. And by the way, guys... Our 3-strike rule... Don't thank you so much for the 5. You stuffing it up in Andrew's stead? Since he's on vacate. Well, actually, no, Rigo. Since you say that, you said edge or steady instead of stead, which means that the scuff is now on you. Oh, damn. You didn't think I was gonna do that, huh? You didn't think I was gonna turn it right on over you. Okay, but anyway. No, actually, what helps pay the bills is you guys' donations and super chats and memberships. Like, I am not, like, from what I understand, you want to focus on community growth and interaction with your chat and your audience when you're small, like I am right now. You don't start seeing a real return on AdSense revenue and stuff like that until I think you're well above 10,000 subscribers. So we're kind of doing the slow build up until, and then once I get over 10,000 subscribers and I start making content on a level that makes sense to profit from AdSense revenue, then we'll do it that. But for now, nah, we're just chilling. I stay scuffed, can't get me like that. Okay, well fine. Alright, here we go. Let us click this, let us mute our background music. And let us go.
This is tea so piping hot. None of you guys have actually heard about it before because it has not been posted anywhere. This is about a big VTuber by the name of Dokibird and a charity stream that Doki had hosted over a year ago. It's actually crazy how bad this all falls apart. Manager's like, why does it cost so much? Why couldn't you donate it? Right? How is this the artist's fault? How is this the artist's responsibility that your team screwed up? We're a totally different legal entity from the old company. The old company had no official agreements with you, and the new company is looking into this and also have no agreements with you, let alone take over things of the old company. To this day, the artist has not been compensated for their labor, nor has the bidder received a PC. And it appears there's a new builder who is doing the build for free. I made this document, so I want to make sure I'm covering this correctly. Is this real? Unfortunately, it is. So
Wait a minute. Wait.
This document, so I want to make sure I'm To this day, the artist has not been compensated for their labor, nor has the bidder received a PC. And it appears there's a new builder who is doing the build for free. I made this document, so I want to make sure I'm covering this correctly.
Okay, well, there you heard it. People are going, oh, look in the Twitch VOD, look in this VOD, look in that VOD. For her saying whether or not she admits that she actually made this document. She just said those words. You guys heard it right there. So, that is her signing her name to this document. Anything said in this document has her backing and can be used against her in the court of law, including if there's any defamatory language. So let's hear that one more time.
Builder who is doing the build for free. I made this document, so I want to make sure I'm covering this correctly.
Okay, there you go. So, Cat, hear ya? Like, both ears wide open. Look at these ears. See, these ears are freaking, they're tuned right into you now. Okay, so, you made this document. Let's see what this document is.
Is this real? Unfortunately, it is. So,
yes,
the context is, Dokibird hosted an auction that
That's what I just did. Spurky, do you want to come on this? Actually, you know what? I might do a thing here. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna do some wackadoo stuff. I'm pretty sure people are allowed that, like, specifically, like, Eva's Inner Sanctum. Yeah, allowed in here, I'm pretty sure. But let me do this. Set a channel status. Open call. Covering the peak situation. No worries. I'm just gonna be in here just in case anybody does decide to come in.
Ended March 3rd, 2020.
We're doing a little bit of MommaOcco does it this way sometimes, so we're gonna do it that way as well. This is one of the few times where if you take out the vacuum Doki's post stuff, she looks poorly in this.
for a custom-built PC designed by the artist, with the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation being the charity of choice for the Tiltify. If you guys don't know Tiltify, it is a charity platform in which auctioneers can go and sign up on the platform, host charity auctions on there, and then it will pay directly out to the charity of choice. In this case, the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation. The way Tiltify works, money does not cross the hands of the person who hosted it. So with Tiltify, Doki will not touch the money. That's just how Tiltify works. The PC is valued at 3.5K and the winner bid 6.6K on the PC. What is the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation? You know what? That's actually a good question. So if you go onto their websites, it reads, funding cutting-edge research to find cures for mental illness. The Brain and Behavior Research Foundation is committed to alleviating the suffering caused by mental illness by awarding scientific research grants that will ultimately enable people to live full, happy, and productive lives. So it sounds like a good charity off the rip. I mean, I didn't do research to the background of this charity, but it looks good. Also, again, I don't think I need to say this to you guys again, but please don't send hate to any parties involved, Doki or any of the other...
I love when people say this, but this is not you covering just some document. You made this document, and you're telling people not to harass people. What is a Google Docky drop other than an attempt to launch a harassment campaign against somebody, to ostracize them or otherwise cancel them? That's the whole point of a Google Doc drop. You made this Google Doc and you're covering it, so don't act like you're a non-partial journalist covering this hard-hitting piece of information. No, you made this. So you're just going over your own words. So let's be clear on that.
Other individuals as well, okay, because we're not out here trying to go harass people. It's kind of just to like lay the information out. So, proof of Doki stating artists would be paid. 1. Doki states February 20th, 2024 that artists would be paid for their services. This is a tweet that Doki put out themselves. To all artists and creators, I'll be running a charity auction and stream next week, and I'm looking for people who would like to collab and work with me to make one-of-a-kind Doki themed items. Plushies, figures, sculptures, sign artwork, prints, etc. To auction off for charity. I will be paying you for your service. Please send your portfolio. The items do not need to be completed before the auction starts, so don't worry about any rush. They'll say where the auction is going and other stuff that is being offered. So, some more information. Doki's VOD also cites extra information. At the 8-minute mark in Doki's VOD, Doki...
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. See, she's a little on the fast side, and let me turn it down just a bit. But, an hour and 48 minutes is gonna get, is a lot to get through. And I will say this. I'm going to be more lenient. Or I'm going to try to be, because this is Elfpire Reviews, so this is a little bit different than Elfpire Reacts, right? I'm reviewing specifically this individual's actions through their statements through this video. So this 3-strike rule doesn't apply in the same way that it does during my Elfpire React streams. Now, we do still have a strike system, and it has some crazy shit that's like, dude, you cannot say this, is said on a very big level. It sounded better faster. It probably did. It probably did. You know what? Here, I'll do a poll. Let me do this. Add a poll. And I will say, 1.25 or 1.5 speed. And then, 1.25. 1.5. There you guys go. She is kind of difficult to listen to, which is why I'm giving you guys... Jesus Christ, it's almost... It's, wow, 3-1, really.
For instance, the manager that will be censored, we will label them Manager Number 1 as helping grant Doki access to Tiltify and setting up the auction. A little bit of foreshadowing. Why are they called Manager 1? You will see that there's actually 3 managers that get involved in the scenario. So, 17 minutes into the VOD, Doki states she would be paying for shipping the products.
I am providing the money for shipping for all of these items, so do not worry if you're wherever you live, you're like, oh my god, would they be able to ship it there? I will be providing the money for the shipping to the creators who will be...
Okay, well, I will say this, perhaps a better way of her saying this would be like, you don't have to worry, financially about this, but there's a lot of, if these packages and these submissions are coming in from different parts of the planet. Like every country has different duties, different fees, different restrictions, sanctions, and stuff like that. So you can't just say, "Don't worry, get it here. I'll make sure it's covered." You can make sure it's covered financially, sure, but like there might be extenuating circumstances beyond Doki's control. So her just saying, "Don't worry," maybe not appropriate, but I understand why she didn't like mention that, because it would take somebody with like a heightened knowledge base to know that you can't just automatically guarantee that all these submitted products will actually get to you.
Be shipping these products to you if you win the auction. And also, even if like some of the items are not made by me, it's not coming from me, I will be sending an exclusive postcard to each winner of the auction.
We hear out of her own mouth that she would be paying for the shipping. And then also in that same VOD, she mentions having a duplicate of each item for herself to twin with the auction winners. You will see later that this will be something that will not be mentioned to the artist until a year from when this started. So Doki's manager also confirmed this in DMs.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's go back in just a second.
Mentioned to the artist until a year from to twin with the auction winners. Also in that same VOD, she mentions having a duplicate of each item for herself to twin with the auction winners. You will see later that this will be something that will not be mentioned to the artist until a year from when this started. So
okay, so wait a minute. If she says in the VOD that she's going to have a twin item for each of the auction winners, then the artist obviously would know that that is within their duty to do. And this wouldn't catch them by surprise a year later. It's a publicly stated VOD. So, are you kidding me? Like, are you trying to do a gotcha here? Like, no. There is a statement right here. So you will be having a duplicate of each item, and then you're like, oh, this will be mentioned to the artist. It was mentioned to everybody. Jesus. It looks like right now, and I'm still 2 minutes on the poll, but right now 1.25 is winning. That's actually smart to avoid complications. Yes, it is, but like, you see later in the doc I made, yeah, like, this is weird. You know, this is such a stupid, blatantly make it setup for what it actually
auction
is.
Winners. You will see later that this will be something that will not be mentioned to the artist until a year from when this started. So Doki's manager also confirmed this in DMs. This gets a little bit confusing because a bunch of people are redacted. In teal is manager number 1. In pink is the artist and builder. I realized later, so I did that in the second half of the document, that those who are colorblind are not going to be able to figure out what is teal and what is pink. I'm really sorry. I'll try to make it clear for...
Well, yeah, I think these colors would be hard for someone with colorblindness to discern, but I would just say the long penis shaped is manager 2, and the short penis shaped is manager 2. I'm so sorry. I'm not the one who did these censors. This is her. She doesn't. That's just a very weird way to do it. You know what I'm saying?
When I'm reading this out loud, but it will be more clear later on in the document. Manager number 1 says, hi there. And this was in DMs to the artist. I'll be providing any updates or comments Doki might have moving forward, and we'll be using a mock-up if you choose to provide one by these seconds. So they're referring to March 2nd, 2024. Or we can use photos in your portfolio if you aren't, which is totally understandable due to the turnaround time. We don't have a super tight timeline, so keep that in mind. You can take all the time you need on this project, but we would like a general estimate to provide during the auction, and ideally, we would like to get an idea of price, as Doki is planning on paying all of the artists she has chosen. If we're able to potentially work something out with Height, we can explore that too. Height is a PC brand. So the artist on February 28th, the day later, responds, hi, Manager 1, thank you for accepting my request and getting back to me. Heart. I am glad to hear about the timeline. That gives me a lot of reassurance since custom projects always take a lot of time and work to put together. I was already in talks with Heights, so I've looped in my contract and I'm waiting to hear back from him at the moment. Manager 1 says, of course, I'm sure we can work something out for this. I will double check and see if it's possible to potentially get some items from an upcoming project for this, and hopefully we can come up with a solid idea as this progresses. The artist says, which branch of Height are you in talks with, if you don't mind me asking? Since I'm in talks with a UK manager, I'm wondering if it's worth roping the different teams together for better communication. I also already have a mock-up if you're ready to see it. The manager says, ooh, yes, please. So the artist sends over the mock-up, as you can see here, and they write, usually I wouldn't start to work on a
So I guess the artist is in the peak.
project or provide a mock
The foregoing payment terms and stuff. but I trust that we can sort that later.
before
Also,
agreeing on payment terms and stuff, but I trust we can sort that out later. Also, this is just a first idea, so it's totally open to suggestions and comments from you guys or Doki. Just a note, my concept art also never looks like the final product. The final product is usually 10 times better. The manager one says, we're in talks with the marketing executive producer of iBuyPower in collaboration with the design team at Height.
yeah, concept art is usually pretty rough. In UX and UI, they call it wireframing. I don't think it was necessary to mention that, but okay.
Definitely be able to give you a sure answer on whether or not it would be possible to get access to the items for our upcoming project for this, which will be amazing for everyone involved later today. Also, that looks absolutely amazing. We could not have imagined a better design. And the artist in response to that says, ooh, interesting that iBuyPower is involved. If it's their marketing executive producer, this is definitely gonna be big. And here, important to note, the manager says, as far as payment terms go, Doki is 100% going to pay whatever you charge for the PC. Once we have an idea of the
Okay. We might have a problem here. Already, I see a little bit of an issue. So, I'm going to highlight this and save it as its own comment here. Just give me a second. I don't think you guys can actually see me doing this until it saves in black. Here we go. Give me a second. Let me bring up my file explorer. Desktop, here we go. So this is something that kind of has me like raising an eyebrow. Okay? It's interesting that iBuyPower are involved. If it's their marketing executive producer, then this is definitely gonna be big with the eyes emoji. I feel like we could almost replace those eyes emoji with money in the eyes emoji. Based on, like, I don't know. This seems to me like the artist was just tipped off that this could be big. And, maybe we keep that in mind. Gabby's in, welcome.
final cost, we can finalize everything then. Red flags in the project. The first red flag and issue is that management published the PC concept for the Tiltify auction without confirming a budget with the artist, or that work could be edited. To note, in the Tiltify auction, the design was listed as potentially being subject to change. Basically, from here on out, we will see that in the beginning of the communication between management 1 and the artist, everything looked good. Like, they reached out to the artist, they liked the submission, they wanted to work with the artist, aka the PC builder, and then things just devolved from there. It just literally goes into the shitter. It's actually crazy how bad this all falls apart. Again, the first issue is that they never confirmed the budget before starting the Tiltify. So this is a screenshot straight out of Tiltify for this auction where it reads, concept art is subject to change and winners will be notified of all necessary changes to the final product. Another point to note, the artist told the management they were going to be out of office starting March 1st for another project, and on that day, management had a message asking for edits to be made and to list the item on Tiltify. So this is on March 1st where the builder was out of office.
I don't know if it's like them getting greedy yet. It's just something that called to my attention for some reason. I felt like maybe somebody's like, ooh, I can make a lot of money this way. And remember, this is supposed to be a charity option, right? So, like, you are going to be compensated for your efforts and stuff, but, like, let's keep it reasonable, right? That is my opinion anyway. Let's see.
They say, for this concept, can we remove the part about the LCD screen and the touch removed from the chassis name, since the touch is actually out of stock at this point and there's no ETA on the touch case getting back in stock? I can edit that myself and I can let them know in the description that case is subject to change between the available ones. The day after, management messages, hi, just reach out to let you know that the listings are officially published and can be seen here. They link the Tiltify. You're more than welcome to post your progress photos or completed pieces on social media along with a link to the auction house. Thank you so much for all your hard work, and we can't wait to see how much everyone loves your artwork tomorrow. If you have any changes to your listing, please let me know and I can get it changed ASAP. So this is where more issues start cropping up. The second issue is that management set the starting price of the auction, assumed to be the cost of the PC build, without asking the artist, aka the builder, how much the project would cost. They instead went to the artist's PC per picker page and grabbed a previous build and used that number as the estimate.
That's fine. This doesn't have anything to do with the artist. The artist is going to be compensated separately by Dokibird. So the cost of what is the item on the charity option has nothing to do with this artist. This artist shouldn't have to use that as a baseline or a rubric or anything. You are being paid for your artistic contribution to something, not for the total values. Like, this is weird. This is weird that they think that this is a red flag. This is not a red flag. That's what this is starting to look like.
estimated cost of this new build. Straight out of the Tiltify, it says the PC is valued at $3,500. However, that's
Which is
wrong.
fine.
The estimate of $3,500 is actually incorrect as well. Because even if you go off of
Okay.
the artist's previous build, which again makes no sense because this is a completely brand new build, the artist is based in the UK. And the build cost was 3,500 Great British pounds, not 3,500 USD. So the price estimate is extremely confusing because, as mentioned previously, Doki had also mentioned wanting a duplicate of each item to twin with the auction winner. A second PC was never mentioned to the artist. And you see in the DMs between Manager 1 and the artist, no talk of a second PC. Also, the 35...
Okay, this is this is a PC case artist, right? Does this person think they're building the entire PC for this price? They are just making a PC case. They are basically they're grabbing a case that they already probably have, and they're adding decals and shit to it. Like, that is what's happening. So, like, why? Even PC case when, yeah, I have no, that would be cool, but I have no idea when. Third issue is management. Tiltify options list in the back could choose their own specs, which should also be fine. This is a PC case, or am I wrong? Can somebody tell me if I'm wrong? Because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this person is a full PC builder. But that was not my impression.
500 USD price tag does not clarify whether it's 3,500 for one PC or 3,500 for the cost of two PCs to be built. Because that is the weird thing about this whole auction that was also really confusing. A lot of it's confusing, but this is just one of them. Because are the buyers auctioning to pay money for one PC or two PCs? And this is for like all the items, in fact, right? So is the buyer basically going to have to pay double, and then one of the items will then go to Doki, and then they would get the other one? Or is Doki going to pay out of pocket?
You are trying to apply business, like for-profit business logic and like logistics to a charity auction. This is not like, I feel like I'm gonna have a stroke here. Like, this person is so caught up on this, but they have it so wrong.
For a duplicate product that would just mirror what the buyer bought. So that was also very confusing. Then finally, going to PC Part Picker to estimate the build cost for a PC will cause huge issues down the line, as you only get quoted for the PC parts with no addition of labor costs. And the third issue is management. In the Tiltify auction, it was listed the buyer could choose their own specs. You can see right here. It says, this piece is a custom-built Doki-themed PC.
Okay, hold on. She's starting to get, she's starting to aggravate me. Okay, ending the poll. You guys put it 1.25%.
Since the PC has not been built yet, you are able to have some control over the creative process and specs of the PC. The PC is valued at 3,500 USD, and the parts in the PC will fall in line with a general PC of that pricing. So an example, a previous build of the artist with roughly the same cost was, and then they linked it. If the client, the buyer, has the ability to choose their own parts, that's going to raise the cost of the PC. Or lower it, depending on what they want, but I feel like very few people would choose to get like shittier parts in the build.
That's what
Out
I'm
the
wondering.
gate, this is already poorly handled by management. And
questioning
this
the
is an issue
relevance of
because
this.
no upfront budget was provided to the artist. So here we have, this is now March 4th, 2024. Manager 1 messages the artist again, because again, remember the artist was out of town.
Okay, look, the only reason why the manager or the artist would have a problem of why there's no budget regarding the PC is because they are wanting to charge based on a percentage total of the PC. They want to scale what they charge based on the price of the PC, and I think that's completely inappropriate. Your art is worth what it's worth. Just because your case has $2,500 worth of parts in it or $4,000 worth of parts of it, your job, your labor, your obligation begins and ends with the PC case, none of the internals.
town, and the manager says, "Good morning. I want to send a small update. I'll message the winner today to confirm their shipping details and all that good stuff. I'm happy to be the go-between for you both, but if you and the winner are comfortable, I can get you both connected on Discord to streamline things for you guys as far as figuring out specs and stuff. Just let me know and I'll make it happen." Secondly, regarding the payment for the PC, I know it's probably up in the air at the moment, so we can stay in contact and figure that out as the project progresses or as we have a more clear idea of projected costs. I did base the market value off your previous builds, and we would like to stay around that general cost for the parts themselves, but would like to give the buyer some wiggle room as far as, potentially going for a cheaper CPU, cooler option to allow more money to go towards storage and RAM if that's something they'd like, but we won't know until we speak to the buyer. The artist responds, "Hey, I've tied up my brand deal from last weekend, so let me catch up with your message." And that was like 3 days later. So the fourth issue revolves around the mysterious brand activation, also from Heights, and involving Doki being brought up by the manager. It was confusing the artist as they weren't sure whether this activation was referring to the charity auction PC or something else entirely. The artist says, "I just got off a call with the Height UK community manager who mentioned that Height are actively working with Doki on a thing. Would that be the other activation you spoke about briefly? Trying to gain some clarity so I'm not getting my wires muddled with different things going on." And the manager responds, "Hello, just got a chance to read over everything. To answer your last question, yes, and
I left Discord open. I get off work in 45 minutes. Takes me 30 minutes to get home. If you're still on, I'll hop on. Okay. That sounds cool, but let me do a thing with streamer mode. I always forget to enable streamer mode if I keep... usually I keep Discord closed. It's as... an unfortunate pause. Well, on this lady.
I believe it will be its own separate thing. However, Height understands this PC was a 1-to-1 being built for the charity auction and don't mind the Y70 case being used. But at this time, they will have no involvement in our end on the production of the PC. I've already sent an email to the winner to get some clarification on their end, but I'll reach out again in case they missed it. And of course, I made it clear to the winner that you are not going to be involved with any tech support or potential issues they have with the PC. And I've let them know that any issues they may experience would have to be fixed through a third party or directly through the manufacturer. So yeah, this got a little confusing because then there was some third party sponsorship thing also involving the same company that was maybe going to sponsor the build that later ended up not sponsoring the build. So now we get into communication issues. After this, there were communication between the artist and the management about some personal issues the artist was going through, and them explaining they might be slower to respond and get work done. There's discussions of potentially having the PC done by June through August 2024, but the artist doesn't confirm that as of a certain deadline. No deadline was provided by management to complete the build, and the Tiltify also estimates 3 to...
I don't know if you guys were talking about the... If you were talking about it being done, possibly, even possibly, by June and August, there's your timeline. Like, it's an estimation, for sure. It's not a deadline, but it's definitely a timeline. If you go way over that, potentially longer, 3 to 4 months, okay. Well, let's just let her continue.
4 months being the turnover time potentially longer. So towards the end of March 21st, the artist responds, "Hey management, thank you so much for your patience with my replies. I have been recovering from addiction lately, which has been a huge struggle, and I feel that my response time has definitely taken a hit. So I want to mention it briefly to provide some additional context and transparency, and also to hold myself accountable. I wasn't 100% sure whether it was relevant or not, but since it's affecting my professional conduct, I felt it was best for you to be informed moving forward. I hope you can understand. Heart." And then the artist says, "That's fantastic, thank you so much. It clears up worries surrounding my side of things," responding to, the artist not being on the hook for PC issues. Let me take a read through the update from the buyer, and OMG, the opening line that's hilarious. "We're all out here apologizing for late replies." Okay, I've given it a read. Let me do some cooking on hardware for this build, and I'll get back to you with a possible list.
Okay, what? Bro. What is up with this clear... Can you guys see that? Like, from right here to right here. I think maybe they just linked the screenshots together. But there's cropping right here. You can see how the pixels is off by like just a couple. Maybe deadlines for these artists need to be a little harder. So it's a lot like taking advantage of loose dead. Yeah, that's what it is. Because I think what's happening here is people have to remember Dokibird, when she went off on her own, she basically like... She's the type of person to give a lot of new types chances, new types of managers, new types of artists. People were just getting their foot in the ground in like talent management and stuff like this, and merch management and charity auctions and stuff. So maybe, yeah, some small mistakes are being made here. But so far, like, I don't know. I'm not seeing, we've been shown a lot of irrelevant information, and I'm trying to remain on the actual claims here, but right now I'm just going, well, what even were those? Because you showed me like 10 minutes of completely irrelevant information about the total part of the total price of this PC and total is what it's going to cost and how she should have known that as a PC case artist, and I don't see that. Anyway, we're gonna click play. She's starting to lose me. We're 15 minutes in and she's starting to lose me.
List of suggestions. It might take some time while figuring out what works best for his needs. I noticed he said he's not going
The time line up, I have no idea. Her face is in the way. Like all the second picture here is blocked by her. Even any names or even any timelines. Like we have, 17th of April, wait, March, April, okay, and 24th of May. Holy shit, that's months apart. What is that? Look, this is March 21st, 2024. Also, last year, we're doing the last year stuff. Really? Again with this just years old stuff. Anyway, so March of last year, and then you had this little exchange here, all on the same day. Then there's this weird fucking crappie shit, and I have no idea what that is, but whatever. And then you have down here, 17th of April, and then 24th of May. Are you telling, just months are going by between contact, or what's going on there?
to be in the US from June to late August. If this PC is completed during this time, would you be happy to have the completed bill shipped to your address, then handle shipping to the buyer when they're back in the country? I may need to relocate apartments during the period they're not in the US, so I would prefer that. Then the manager responds, that's okay, I've been pretty sick as well, so I've also been away and not here much. I hope things get better for you. I know how hard it is to quit from my own experiences. If it comes down to it, we're more than happy to handle the shipment of the PC. The manager says, sounds good, there's no rush, to take your time and take care of yourself. Then April 17th, the manager bumps it, hey there, the winner of the auction has requested to establish contact with you to discuss details of the PC himself and to check with you on any updates you may have for him. I did let him know that you were working on getting those parts figured out, but he still requested to make contact. I can send over your Twitter if you're comfortable.
Yeah,
and then over a month later, the manager bumped.
So what's this, who released all of this information, all these, I'm guessing the artist did, right? Is this the artist, airing out their bad, business practices? What's the source of this?
Bumped it again. Hi again. I want to give you a heads up. I've chosen to part ways with Dokibird, and everything regarding the auction items will be handed off to my replacement once I leave on the 31st of this month. If it's all right with you, I'd love to include your socials in the onboarding document I'm passing along. They will handle everything moving forward, including any updates necessary for Doki and any communication with the auction winner. Please let me know if that's all right. I'll include your Discord and email from my replacement. So on June 2nd, the second management then reaches out to the artist through email, writing, hello, this is Ribby, which is a temporary pseudonym. I'm the replacement assistant for the previous manager number 1. I am following up on the custom PC charity item with regards to its current status. To my knowledge, in the turnover documentation I was given, the item has not been fulfilled, and the previous assistant had issues getting updates from you in a timely manner. It has been a few months since the charity auction ended, and we're trying to wrap up our commitments regarding this project. If you're still open to finishing the commission or have been working on it and haven't...
Okay, I see what's happening. Also, if it was leaked by the artist, was it under NDA? I don't know, we're gonna have to see. That'll probably, if that's addressed at all, it'll come up in Doki's document. But, okay, so, I'm gonna look at this, I'm looking at this email, and I already see, for an artist, this is probably alarming and anxiety-inducing, right? It is still open for the commission. We're going to listen, and he says redelivery date. Please give us an update. So this manager has stepped in, and he is far more interested in keeping a deadline. This has basically been floating around for months, and it sounds like the manager, the first one, kind of dropped the ball, kept the deadlines way too loose, and this guy is picking up the slack. I'm not gonna come at the second manager like, oh, how dare he? He's just doing his job. There's a reason why he's here, and there's a reason why the previous manager had to step away, and separate for the Dokibird team. So, yeah, I think that's what's going on there. And I think they're gonna try and hop on this second manager over this. Multi-window streaming engaged. Huh.
An estimated delivery date, please give us an update within 2 to 3 business days. Otherwise, we may have to go with a plan B and either reimburse the winning bidder or find a different custom PC builder. If you can't fulfill the item, we understand. Life gets difficult, just let us know and we'll get out of your hair. Sincerely, Ribby.
Find a different custom PC builder. So is this person building the whole PC? this implies to me that, like, the matter, like, is this person building a whole PC? I know it's for her video sakes, but you might want to, you know, not have your colossal face cam on screen while doing your reading of documents so people can also read along if they want to. Yeah, I agree.
Fulfill the item, we understand. Life gets difficult, just let us know and we'll get out of your hair. Sincerely, Ribby. The artist responded June 18th asking for more information, but confirming they still wish to fulfill the project if the option was available. So here it's all redacted, but you can see the artist says they ran into untreated health complications and that they weren't able to work during the window, and they really apologize for the delays and inconvenience they may have caused. They kind of cover some details here, like some issues basically about the PC build, because the buyer of the PC build wants a PC capable of machine learning and wants to pay for additional parts, and that extra things were requested, so there were some issues with the parts, etc. And then an issue with the PC case design, because when the artist made the design, they did not know that that specific LCD panel in the touch case was, or like that case specifically was not available, so they would need to kind of like work around that. And the artist says, since I wrapped up a project with MSI, I can give you a more accurate time frame for the project's completion. I estimate it would take a minimum of 6 weeks and roughly 12 weeks at maximum, and that I understand if you would choose to go with plan B, which is like the full refund, or a different PC builder at this stage. Especially, you did say you would like me to reply in 2 to 3 days. I can only offer my apologies for the major dropping of the ball. So TLDR, I still wish to fulfill this project if that's an option, and I'd be able to commence work as soon as we work out an agreed rate and scope. So yeah, basically the artist offered a couple options. It was like either one, they would complete the build, they apologize for being late. Option 2, the buyer would be refunded. And option
Okay, I think JP Raven, I think your analysis is accurate. It sounds like they're having them get the parts, build the PC, and then put art on the case. Yeah. And I will say this right now, because I just built a PC after receiving all the parts. Once I had all the parts come in, set up my workstation, it took me maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 if I'm being generous. Like, putting together a PC where all the parts have come in is not difficult.
3, a different builder would be used. January 2025, Dokibird personally reached out to the artist in Twitter DMs and through their personal website to put the artist, the charity winner, and a member of Doki staff, which will be the 3rd iteration of the management team, who will be in green, into a group chat together. At this
Okay. As it grows, okay. Okay, I mean, yeah, okay, so Doki basically probably do some part matching for aesthetics too, so it all looks good and looks like a custom Dokibird PC. Yeah, that makes sense. That shouldn't be this difficult to do. Doki was 100% getting scammed. Something's going on here for sure. I don't know what, but something weird is happening. And it's happening to Doki. But, okay, so like, manager leaves, this other manager steps in, asks for like deadlines, timelines and stuff, and from what I see here, January 10th of 2025. Hold on. We're doing some sleuthing, chat. Okay, hold on. Get back here. Gibbity. June 18th, 2024 is when you responded to the second manager. And I don't know what happened between the 6 months between June and January of 2025. But if Dokibird, like, okay, like, at this point, years have gone by, and Doki finally, after going through 2 managers trying to get you guys to resolve this, had to step in personally and put everybody in a proper group chat. So this makes sense that Doki did this. I'm not surprised. Let's continue.
point, it's been 9 months since the buyer had bid on the PC. So Doki had DM'd, the winner of the charity auction has been unhappy with the wait, and I was pulled in to fix the issue as it has grown bigger than it should be. And the artist says, hey Doki, I haven't had any messages about the charity PC since last summer, so I honestly wasn't sure what was going on. Doki says, what's your Discord? Is it okay if I add you and the...
Well, okay, the artist says this. I haven't had any messages about the charity PC since last summer, so I'm honestly sure wasn't going on. What, you're the fucking PC builder, you're the... why have you not reached out and said, hey, it's done? What are you doing? Why are you waiting for your client who commissioned you to reach out for you and just letting them hang for fucking 6 months? What the hell? Like, I'm sorry, but no, this artist is in the wrong for this. Like you have this on as like as a thing, like, but no, this is this is entirely inappropriate. Like I haven't had any message about the charity PC since last summer. Yes, you haven't given us any updates either, and this was something that we wanted done in 3 to 4 more months from the last email. Here it is 6 months, and us having to reach out again to you. This is a problem.
A charity winner and one of my staff to fix the issue. And the artist says, yes, although I need to go over a few details with your staff before jumping into a Discord group chat with your team and the auction winner. They give their Discord. Let me know if your staff's Discord name so I can keep an eye out for them. And then Doki gave the name, and the artist says, hi Doki, we really need your personal involvement in the group chat. That message was then sent like way later, like 2 weeks later. So here is another message. This is Doki themselves messaging the artist. But Doki says, hi, I've sent a DM about this on Twitter, but I've been told by my staff that you have been MIA regarding the charity PC. I want to know what's going on and why was this happening. The winner of the charity auction has been unhappy with the wait, and I was pulled in to fix the issue as it has grown bigger than it should be. At this point, the artist was confused since they had not received a response back from the email. So they assumed the management was going with plan B, reimbursing the winner or finding another custom PC builder. The artist was reluctant to join a group chat with a charity winner, as at this point, the artists themselves still had no idea how much they're getting paid for the project or any other questions answered. They requested to speak privately with a new management and staff member first to sort out payment, budget, and other details as to not appear unprofessional in front of the client. Because mind you, at this point, a budget was still not decided yet. No official budget was ever given at this point. The original management 1, was like, oh, please keep it within this previous build, 3,500 USD, but they got the number completely wrong because remember, they pulled the number, assumed it was in USD.
I built my first PC out of, we had 2 or 3 PCs that didn't work. I basically Frankensteined them together when I was 8 or 9. It was like Lego advanced, like it was advanced Legos to me. Like, that's how trial and error as an 8-year-old was able to get us a working PC. That PC was absolutely rode up, and the hard drive that I had chosen was filled with porn viruses, but still, it was a working PC as an 8-year-old. So, like, yeah, I don't know. This is, I'm not sure why Doki has to pay out of her own pocket, and the item is donated. There was an option for artist Doki's work ones for the option to donate the work. Well, hold on, let's see.
When the number was actually in British pounds. So that estimate number was already incorrect as it is.
Might just
and no official budget was ever given. So this is going to get a little confusing because so many people are redacted out of this. But this is their first contact with current management. So green, or the person that's messaging, is manager number
Ellie.
3. Now pink, remember, is the artist. And this teal name over here is the first manager, the manager number 1. Manager 3 says, hi artist, I am redacted, part of Dokibird staff team. I've been working with Doki since August, and before that you had contact with manager 1, most likely regarding the charity auction. I am unsure how exactly this came to be and why Doki has to pay this out of her own pocket, and the item isn't donated, but this has been before my time. Regardless, this is the item. They link the Tiltify.
Oh,
the PC case has a fair...
I see what's going on. So manager 3 was entirely inappropriate here. Okay, so manager 3, green manager here, right? I'm gonna read it because you guys can't read it. I can barely read it, and I have it full screened. So it says, hi, I'm part of Dokibird's staff team. I've been working with Doki since August, and before that, you had contact with blah, most likely regarding the charity auction. Here we go. I'm unsure how exactly this came to be, and why Doki has to pay this out of her own pocket and the item isn't donated, but this is before my time. This is an entirely inappropriate statement, thrown shade, like this is the manager's own personal beef with how things were being done before him. It's entirely not his place to determine if that was appropriate or not. And for him to, like, this is kind of like redacted, venting to Nanolis as an artist. You don't do this. As a manager, you don't vent to your... You don't vent your frustrations to the artist of your client. That's insane. So, I will say, green manager here, that was not cool. Because now, that's going to be taken as though Doki thinks that she shouldn't have to pay this. Exactly. That's what happened. Manager was playing telephone game, and information got lost along the way. But more importantly, this manager was saying way more than he needed to, and voicing personal, like, grievances with an artist, with a third party that has no business being privileged to this information.
market value of 3,500 USD at the time, a year ago. From what I understand is that the person that asked for the PC also has some additional requests that they were willing to pay for themselves. At the moment, I feel we need to find a solution to what you can deliver for that amount currently, referring to, I guess, 3,500 USD, what the auction winner is happy with, and what we can do to remedy the situation. 1-year-old specs can be an issue. I personally think we need to look at the charity item and update it and what it would currently cost you to fulfill. Then we should get in direct DM contact with the bidder of the auction and verify the specs and tell him this is what we can do for the price. If they seem to want additional specs, then we should, Doki, bidder, or Doki staff, talk about that and what the cost is and who should pay for it. So regarding the underlying statement of, I am unsure why Doki has to pay for this out of her own pocket and the item isn't donated. So there was an option for artists that Doki was working with for the auction to donate their work and have that donated.
Managers speak on behalf of their client, which is why it's very important that managers need to watch what they say. Like, this is another redacted just doing, like, this, doing what he shouldn't, right? Like, even this here. If they seem to want additional facts, then we should, Doki bidder, Doki staff, talk about what that would cost and who would pay for it. Okay, so Doki bidder and Doki's staff. Yeah, that makes sense. Of who would want to pay for that and stuff like that. So he's given out more information than you want. He's exposing frustrations that he has with how previous management handled this situation, which is inappropriate. But again, nothing crazy here yet.
Did work be auctioned off for charity.
Oh, wow. Oh, holy crap. What did I just miss? Hold on. Oh, what the... Let me bring out... Here we go. Thank you so much, Bad News Badger, for the 10 gifted Elfpire Eva memberships. Sekisoft and, let's see here. Rebellion Props, Caffire, Some Shambler, The Voices will... Oh, no, ZK, Grumhelda Lady, Yuzo, and Aloha Snack Bar. That's a great name. Rael B, Michael Nilsson, Shem V98. Welcome everybody. Doki is sadly liable to what her men know. Well, okay. Yes, she is liable for what her men just say, but you're taking this screenshot and saying, oh, Doki thinks that she shouldn't have to pay for this is entirely inappropriate, because we know, to Doki's own words, that that's what she wanted to do. The problem here with this manager, and why I'm saying you have to be careful with this and not just... You can't ultimately link two people together like manager or client. Like, there are some separations you have to acknowledge. This is a separation I'm acknowledging because it's his own personal beef and opinions blading into his representation of Doki. So that's a problem. And that, like, honestly, this... I would fire this manager over this. Believe it or not, I would fire him over this because this is entirely inappropriate. And again, because so many people do believe that a manager's words are client's words, like just fact, feeling, everything, this was inappropriate enough to be fireable, in my opinion.
Charity. But again, like I showed you in the beginning of stream in the VOD, Doki had previously stated she would cover the pieces and pay for it if the artists don't want to donate. And there was never an expectation artists would donate. Because remember, I will be paying you for your service. So manager 3 starts getting a little weird about this, like, you should have donated it thing. Which again, in my opinion, is not fair whatsoever, you know? And I think because it's for charity, this does devolve a little bit because there starts to be some sort of guilt tripping of being like, well, for the good of charity, you should have donated it, da da da. This might be a little bit of a hot take. Charity is good and all, and I respect giving to charity. But you shouldn't try to guilt trip other people whose labor you're using for charity donations unless they like fully consented to it, right? Being like, oh, this is something to be donated for charity. Do you have something you want to donate? I have been part of charity auctions where I donated time and labor and stuff. I knew it was a donation going straight into it.
I do believe he did say, I think you're right, JP Raven, which is what separates the opinion of him from the opinion of her or his client. But still... It was inappropriate for him, like when you are speaking or negotiating on behalf of another person, and you throw in your personal opinions in that, things can get weird and misconstrued. I don't necessarily disagree with what Kat is saying here. I do think that manager should not have pulled that tactic. It did feel like a guilt trip, but I am not attributing this to Doki guilt tripping this artist, because that's not what happened. This manager fucking stuck his fat opinion where it didn't belong because it didn't match the opinion of Doki.
it. But if you tell people, hey, I'm doing a charity and I'm going to pay for the labor, then you need to fulfill that because that is what you stated. So later than doing a 180, being like, you should have donated it, is so unfair to the people involved.
See, this is no, stop. That's not what Doki didn't say that, did she? This was what a manager said in passing as a fucking little shade comment he threw there. And then he was talking with Doki and the bidder about who should pay for that between those parties. Not the artist wasn't implied to foot the bill for this at all. And that's what this is why I pointed this out, because I was pretty sure Kat was going to pull this and, oh, redacted is Cinder and Cinder isn't. No, that's not how this works. And you cannot say that this was Doki's words and she wants this PC artist to pay for it or donate it. That's not what happened. That's not what at all. That's not even what we read.
Plus, again, donating is a privilege. It's a great privilege. And if you do have the ability to donate to charities, I truly recommend it. Charities need your money, right? They operate pro bono, but not over the expense of like paying your own rent, etc. Putting food on your own table. You know, like they say, you got to put your own oxygen mask on before you go and help others. And it's great if you have excess to donate to charity, but guilting other people to try to donate stuff to charity, I just don't like that personally.
Yes.
So the second continuation of that screenshot I showed you, the artist says, to help clarify around the charity auction, Doki originally put out a tweet calling for creators and artists for a paid opportunity, which I applied for with my portfolio. Here's a tweet I responded to, where you can see it says, I will be paying you for my service. Budget conversations begin. Because the PC build was listed as 3,500 USD in the auction, which was not run by the artist, but an assumption manager one made, as in the number, the staff member assumed the build would still cost 3,500 USD. The artist provided a PDF including the cost of parts, additional things the bidder wanted, and their hourly wage. They priced their build service at the National London Living Wage, undercharging below their standard rates. This is due to lack of transparency with the budget and how the artist felt pressured in being responsible to sort this PC mess out. The artist says, to make sure I have this right, the services are being paid for like Doki originally said. And manager 3 says, yes, they would be paid, originally listed as 3,500 USD, I think. Sorry if it's the wrong number. I'm backtracking the auction from the limited info I was provided. So the artist provides the PDF and states, since the build at auction was based off one of my previous PC builds, I used components that are equal to this cost and calculated the services in addition to that, including my work, customization, materials, etc. If you agree on these details, I can go straight to the auction winner and discuss the specs they want replaced. Let me know if you have any questions and we can go over them. And manager 3 says, oh, but when I calculate the total price of the PDF, it's not around the 3.5k USD, but more around 7.2k USD, and they might even ask for upgrades, which would be more than what the auction bid for. Are you sure it's the same specs? If so, I'll run it by Doki and staff and see what would be the best choice to continue. And here is where we run into the next problem of this auction, guys. I think the people hosting the auction, I guess management number 1, I think it didn't occur to them. And this is where we go into the original problem of them going to the artist's PC part picker and pulling the list of parts. They didn't consider the labor cost of building the PC, which is something that needs to be paid for. So that 3,500 USD number, remember, it's already wrong because it's not in the right currency. But secondly, that number only counts for parts. It doesn't count for the labor of building the PC, which again is labor that should be paid for, right? But that's like the equivalent of
But again, 2 to 3 hours of labor. And maybe also the labor of putting together the PDF and researching the parts that would work and stuff like that. And again, okay, so like, I don't know, this feels like the artist is becoming overly concerned with the budgetary constraints, when that's more of a conversation that Doki's team and the bidder needs to have. I don't see this PC case artist, again, PC, and they already said they can find another builder if they need to. And I think at this point they should. But the PC case artist, the art being put on the PC case is having way too much, like, sway, and, like, concern with the price of this auctioned item.
of like, I don't know, going to a mechanic and then, I don't know, you give them like
yes,
a part of your car.
Money, but we're going to see how much they charge in labor. Is this bent going to justify a $3,000 to $4,000 labor? Is that what happened? Imagine demanding living wages, minimum labor. Cut for labor when I get a new PC. 0.
Sorry, I suck
yeah,
at mechanic
true,
car stuff, but like, you know, I actually broke the side mirror off of my car. So that's equivalent of going to the mechanic and just handing them the mirror, being like, can you put this back on? And then they're like, oh, it's going to cost you like $200. And I'm like, why can't you do it for free? I gave you the parts for that fell off my car. And they're like, well, yeah, but I need the time and expertise to put it back on.
Okay, shut up. First of all, I could tell you, right, I don't know where she lives, but if he busted your windshield off of the fucking car, one, there's probably a bearing or a bolt or something that's been sheared, clearing off. It's not, you can't just put it back on with some zipper glad. 1. 2. If he can salvage the part, it's still going to take him at most a couple hours to put it back together. And so I'd imagine you're probably maybe $80 to $120, not $200. Like this personal story I'm calling tap on. I hate these. Where do you guys get this? Yeah, exactly. Like I live in California and ain't nobody having a freaking side mirror put on for $200. That's insane.
So you need to pay, that is where the issue comes in. The artist emphasized with the bidder, who spent 6.6 thousand USD and hadn't received a PC, and began trying to sort the problem out. The artist even started to look for alternative ways to make the build more affordable by contacting their personal brand connections. Again, this is like extra stuff the artist is doing on top of it. Like flexing your personal relationships to try to like pull strings and get things done is not an expectation that would happen in scenarios like this. Like this is like going above and beyond. Some people might read this and be like, well, like the artist should have done that to make it as cheap as possible for Doki. It takes a lot to ask your relationships for stuff.
What I want to know is what why in the world was this PC not already built? I mean, let's be real. Like it seems like people like these managers had an idea. You signed up for it. You gave them minimal information for months, upwards of almost a full year. Like what was it, 9 or 10 months? And then now we're talking about, which means you haven't done any work. You haven't done any work actually putting this PC together for almost a year. And I want to know, like, when the initial discussion started happening with the, like, 3,500, but what, like, with upgrades in now, because it's not up to date, it's not current. Okay, well, here's what I have in the PC parts that was discussed, and here's what will be presented because I already did the work. You clearly had not done the work already. It should have been built before the auction was even held. I completely agree, UI. I thought Doki's management said there was no budget restraint or something. That's what the original manager said. But then, like, nothing, like, this is, luckily we have Doki's response after this. We're about 30 minutes in. But we're gonna see.
You kind of like use up the amount of asks you get. Does that make sense? Like trying to speak on it from like an influencer perspective. Anyways, I'm not a PC builder. I've built 2 PCs in my life. You can kind of only ask your personal relationships for so many things before they're gonna get tired of you. So like you kind of use up one of your like free asks essentially to like, pull strings for a charity of auction that kind of is falling apart.
Well, okay, these are connections. Okay, and if you're pulling a connection to help fulfill the promises of a charity auction, the connection not gonna go, oh fuck you. That was a selfish favor to ask me on dropping you. No, these are active connections that you maintain. You ask them for favors, they ask you for favors that you provide, which is why it's an ongoing. It's not like you have like a little notebook of IOUs and you can only use it so many. No, it's a freaking give and take. So I'm sorry, yeah, influencer equals cringe right here. I'm sorry. You might not be a PC builder, but I don't know how you view favors or like it seems like this person's relationships are very transactional.
Essentially. Because yeah, some people might be like, oh, why couldn't you just do this from the start? Like you only get to ask so many times. So now January 17th, 2025, the artist says, the original hardware cost of my Cinna PC has always been 3,500 British pounds, but I believe it's been mistakenly put down as 3,500 USD in the auction, which is why the pricing is misaligned. The specs are accurate and as close as they can be. There's the exception that the chassis in the Doki PC design isn't the same as the one used for the Cinna PC, but we didn't confirm a price breakdown specifically for the Doki PC in advance before the auction went ahead. There is an option to lower the specs to save on component cost, although it might be difficult because it wouldn't align with the specs advertised to the auction winner. Because by the way, I want to remind you, the PC was auctioned as you could pick your own specs. The artist continues, the winner has said that they're happy to pay for upgrades, so that wouldn't be an issue and I would handle that with them. So try not to worry that much about that side of it. You shouldn't be having to also pay for components to be upgraded. Besides, the Cinna PC is already Gen 5, so there's not been a huge amount in terms of upgrades yet anyways, aside from the 50 series GPUs, which haven't even released yet. Would you like me to go to the winner and speak with them about the specs they do want first, so that we have a fuller picture? Because if so, drop me their username and let them know to expect a request from me. And then the artist says, hey manager, I hope I'm not spamming you with messages here, but I've got an update that might also help us with this somewhat. I heard back from a contact this morning and may be able to get
this again feels like when analysts called out Kevin over some minor perceived failure to deliver, and Kevin immediately responded with, you could have DM'd me this and I could have handled it, but instead you decided to publicly call me out. over something that we handled very quickly, or could be handled very quickly. I don't know. And again, this is, I don't know. This is a mess for sure, but I'm failing to see. I don't know. We're gonna keep. We're
on
gonna
the
keep.
PC chassis,
Listen.
which would help reduce the
Okay, you should have. Okay, you should have donated it the year it began. So they've already mislabeled this, because that's not what they said. That's not even what the manager said. The manager was just making a slight over an aggravation all over what was something they believe should have been donated, but that Doki has expressed pocketing costs over. They didn't say you should donate it. That's not what happened.
cost. One of the major things about the PC case was that they were only available in the US, so ordering it to the UK was going to incur a hefty chunk in taxes and international shipping. Plus, it's one of the more expensive cases on the market in the first place. The case alone was going to be 843 USD in my original calculation. If I managed to get support with it because the case has become available to UK distributors, then that could offset the cost entirely. Manager's like, why does it cost so much? Why couldn't you donate it? Right? So the artist got confirmation that they were going to get support with the case to help alleviate the pressure of the cost. The manager says, oh, so this is about the cost, right? About labor costs. So just to be sure, that would be 3,400 USD for labor costs, which, when you calculate for the UK national living wage. And the artist says you might want to round up to the value the hardware was listed, 3,500 if the buyer wants to replace parts. The $82 can go towards the hardware they choose. So my recommendation would be 3,500 USD plus 2,398 pounds. That way they're getting the full value as advertised. If that makes sense, it's up to the team though. The manager says, I will get you in direct contact with Doki and the charity auction bidder to sort these out. Would the pricing be final, so no more additional costs, correct? Like no more shipping and tax costs. And the artist says, okay, can you please do that to sort this out ASAP? It was agreed with manager one that your team would handle the shipment of the unit. Hence, any packaging shipping tax isn't included in the estimate I gave you, and it should be written in the PDF I sent. So manager 3 says, so it doesn't make any financial sense at that point. Basically, the item, work, shipping, tax together.
It doesn't matter. Okay, this manager is fucking out. This manager is 100% fucking up right now. Because yes, the shipping specifically was mentioned to be covered. I remember that. So yeah, this manager going, oh, it doesn't. Well, most charities end up not making financial sense. Like sometimes for tax purposes and stuff, but usually, like look at Creator Flash 2 and shit like that. How these charities, these events, these auctions can end up operating at a loss. They just can. So like I'm getting reasonably aggravated at this new manager. I don't think they are properly representing Doki or her wishes or her wants or her actual statements, and that's a problem for me. But yeah, we're gonna keep going, but right now this manager is starting to piss me off.
It costs more than the offer the bidder
Yes, Lion Van. This is the same manager that messed up last time.
put on the item. I will ask Doki what she wishes to do, since this is very badly arranged by ourselves before my time. But a refund to the bidder is what I'm primarily going to advertise because this makes very little sense to me.
Again, here we go. I'll ask Doki what she wishes to do since this was very badly arranged by ourselves before my time. Again, this is him throwing shade at previous management and like inserting his opinion of how things should have been done when it's okay. You can hindsight's 2020. You can always do that, but you can't attribute these because an artist or somebody will let's take this and to go. Is this what you think now? Is this what we should do now? And that's what's happening. So like you can't be so careless with your word choice and inserting your own personal grievances with what the previous management team did.
And to be fair, this is fair, right? It's fair to be frustrated that, oh, I hosted a charity to auction off the item, and then the item is going to cost more than what the auction is. But this is a whole issue with how the charity was set up in the first place. It should have never happened like this. There should have never been a scenario where in the charity, the item costs more than what the bid for the item was. And whatever management one was doing was setting up the auction because they never confirmed the price of the PC. They started the bid for the PC at $3,500, remember, US dollars, and that was not including labor costs. That was only the cost of PC parts. And they picked a random PC build and based it off that using the wrong currency. So the artist says, may I add my assistant to the group chat also? Their name is redacted. The manager 3 says, sure, we can discuss the options and choices, etc., as Doki should be able to make a decision on what the best solution should be. And the artist says, okay, I've added them. Do you mind if I ask what Doki's schedule looks like? We're all in different time zones, and I need to be able to assign time to this while balancing my other clients. It would be a huge help if you and Doki could block out a chunk of time so we can really hammer out the details. I'm dedicated to trying to work this out together. Now we get the group chat with everybody in it, which is the most confusing part of this document because everybody's redacted. This group chat is between the artist assistant, who I'll abbreviate to AA, Doki, the bidder or/slash buyer, and manager.
If you're redacting this sort of like, why even release the screenshots? Like, because all anybody's gonna do is challenged the validity because we don't know for sure who these people are because everything's redacted. So again, why even publicly release this information this way? I'm starting to get a headache, guys. I'm 31 minutes in. Let's see here, the budget gets weirder. Doki responds and deflects. Oh god.
Management number 3. So I've labeled everyone. The yellow is the buyer. I've labeled it with like B or buyer. The pink is the artist. The orange is the artist assistant. Green is management number 3. I'll have it like labeled on the screenshots as well. So the conversation opens
They really
with the
don't.
buyer, aka the bidder, clarifying their timeline. Censored is what likely could be manager number 1. So the buyer, January 19th, 2025, says, hello, I'll post my timeline here. Contact initiated soon after the auction by redacted, which is most likely manager 1,
Guys,
the
we
manager
just
that
need more
screwed up
synergy.
the auction. 2, I said I wanted to increase the budget of the build's hardware and I would be willing to pay the
It's
additional price.
absolutely
3,
asinine.
there was no communication for a while. After some prodding, I was notified the artist had medical
Guys,
conditions.
this video was apparently edited down from like a 4.5-hour VOD of her covering this. Again, this document that she made. So she put this together.
And they were gone, and the team was looking for somebody to fill in as a new artist. Manager 1 also offered to send the postcard early, which I did not take the offer. So basically, Doki was offering free, I believe, signed postcards in all of the winners' packages. Manager 1 disappeared and subsequently was replaced by Ribby. Remember Ribby's manager 2, using the same email after several months. The replacement was not notified nor communicated to me about the auction until I sent follow-ups. 5, Ribby apologized and said, quote, the budget was allocated, end quote. 6, no real additional information of relevance was exchanged after that point, and Ribby went via as well. In the VTuber space, it is known there's a lot of crappy managers. I've covered many of them on my YouTube channel, okay? But the thing is, your managers are an extension of you. So is it your manager's fault they absolutely dropped the ball on the auction? Yes. But again, you as the VTuber should have kind of looked over everything before you hit the go live button with the auction. Maybe you naively put your full heart's trust in this management and trusting they would handle everything correctly. Between the changes of hands, so much was lost. Essentially, if you're a VTuber with management, right, you kind of act like the boss of your own little company. And if somebody gets fired, like manager 1, and then manager 2 gets brought on in corporate, there is a middle person that serves as the handoff between person number 1 and person number 2 that gets hired to fulfill the role. So it looks to me that in whatever is happening with the Dokibird company situation, there was no middleman to make the handoff between manager 1 and manager 2 go smoothly. Being like, hey, manager 1, can you make a list of all the projects we have hanging and then all the things we need to do and then what manager 2 needs to do, like to fill this in, etc. And again, I would say that as the VTuber, the head of the brand, you should have line of sight into what's happening in your company, in the management that's going on. If you have
Yeah, okay. So yeah, you should have. So this is just the Cinder argument all over again. Jesus Christ. Yes, you should be aware of like your managers are doing and stuff, but like in this manager's pursuit of trying to resolve this cherry auction situation, he has said a lot of things that I'm pretty sure he has not gone over with Doki, such as his disagreements with how the finances were handled before his time, or Doki's intention to pay for all the shipping and stuff. Like him mentioning he doesn't like that and he thinks it should be donated is entirely inappropriate. Yes, but I guarantee you, Doki wasn't told that directly, that that's how he put it and that's how he said it. What was said is, yeah, I'm working it out with them now. We're gonna get a group chat together. Like that's probably how that fucking went down. And that's as specific as your manager's gonna be with anybody. So like, this girl doesn't have a manager. I would hope to God she doesn't.
have no line of sight, I would argue that's mismanagement of your part, because it's your responsibility to make sure things aren't screwing up down below, you know? Again,
Okay, yeah. And I will say, yes, there is some mismanagement, but like, this happened recently, and I'm fairly certain we're going to see in Doki's response, her handling her managers who were not representing her appropriately. I guarantee you we're going to see that in that Doki doc.
if the managers are doing little things one-off, etc., the manager dropped the ball. Sure. The way a company works, the higher up is the one that gives the okay, that signs off on the project. With companies, even with like a little social media manager that makes a tweet, typically there is a senior social media manager, a senior social producer that looks at the post before it goes live and okays the post to go live. So regardless of whether
no. I don't have any of that. I'm pretty sure she doesn't have any of that. And if she does, dear God, where were they when you posted this video?
person below you screwed up or not, it sucks, right? But you as the person above them, as the big boss, should have looked at everything over, made sure it was okay before it went live. So management, one, screwed it up really badly. Partially Doki's fault for having no idea, because how did you not? But maybe because Doki has no experience with PC builds, they just didn't realize, or because of miscommunication, they thought that the budget was okay when it wasn't, right? Hindsight's always 20/20, so we can't necessarily fault Doki for not knowing everything, because maybe manager lied to them and was
But you just did, though. You just said it was her fake, and then just said we can't blame her. What kind of... How do you make both statements at the same time? Can we go back? Ghost of Ace is welcome. But let's hear this one more time. Cause I'm not...
Doki has no experience with PC builds. They just didn't realize, or because of miscommunication, they thought that the budget was okay when it wasn't. Right? Hindsight's always 2020, so we can't necessarily fault Doki badly. The big boss should have looked at everything over, made sure it was okay before it went live. So management, one, screwed it up really badly. Partially Doki's fault for having no idea, because how did you not? But maybe...
There you go. Partially Doki's fault for not having any idea, but we can't blame her. I'm sorry,
because Doki has no experience with PC builds. They just didn't realize, or because of miscommunication, they thought that the budget was okay when it wasn't. Right? Hindsight's always 2020, so we can't necessarily fault Doki for not knowing everything, because maybe manager...
Yes, Fetpup. Yes, this situation is as dumb as you thought it would be. Right now, Kat is pulling a, the manager and the client have to know everything about what each other say about each other and the brand and all the logs and they are an extension and a mouthpiece that, like, you have full control over. And if you don't know them, it's your fault. But we can't blame her.
lied to them and was like, yeah, the artist said 3,500 was okay when it wasn't okay. So that could be possible. But what I can fault Doki for, and you'll see this later in the document because we just touched upon it, is how the rest of it was handled. Because again, the auction screwed up. The auction for the PC bombed. Like, it was a mess of a situation. Now we have a steaming pile of poop and somebody needs to clean it up and nobody wants to fix it. Literally nobody wants to deal with it. And that is the problem. Who screwed it up?
I think everyone's trying to fix it. Like, you have shown me multiple screenshots of multiple managers and Doki herself stepping in, trying to fix the situation. What do you mean nobody's trying to clean up the situation? Because this is what this seems like. This is from a live stream, yeah? Yeah, it is. Obviously, she's going by the seat of her pants and not actually fully thinking through her responses. Yeah, she thought, but here I am on stream live, but I can fucking use my brain and think about what I'm gonna say.
Who effed up the auction, in my opinion, is the least of the worries of the situation. Because what we have now is a buyer, a fan of Doki's, who bid $6.6 thousand. So this buyer is out of the money with no PC in hand. That is the big issue here. So who's going to fix this? At this point, the buyer has now been waiting for 10 months. The artist then apologizes for the buyer's wait and summarizes their health concerns. They then ask about questions they've had about the project. So this is on January 19th, 2025. The artist says, to clarify, I sent over a PDF with details about the project to Doki and team, but to move forward with the project, I need estimated project cost to be confirmed by Doki. To chat about the
sounds like she has, Dokibird is somebody who really has, but she pulls corpo numbers. Like, she does. She just, like, she's one of the biggest VTubers, any VTubers out there right now. And she has tried to basically do this grassroots thing with her merch company, which ended up getting messed up for different reasons stuff, and she got scammed by that merch company, had to fire them and stuff. But I think she has gone through multiple management teams because she's trying to find somebody like her who's new at this, but like plucky and willing to try. But that in and of itself can be a problem, and this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the result of that. So I do think that as far as critique for Doki is, Doki maybe needs to be a little bit more careful in vetting who she brings on for management and who she brings onto her staff team. But right now, that's the only critique I have of Doki. Like, I don't have anything else other than, like, hey, you might want to look into your turnaround for managers and, like, kind of figure out what's going on. Maybe get somebody like a background checker or something to vet these people to make sure, like, this kind of stuff won't happen.
Where the buyer would like upgraded to confirm and discuss shipping details. I can send the hardware list I put together if needed. The components I pre-selected are black. But buyer, what is your preference when it comes to component colorways? This appears to be the first mention of there being a request for 2 PCs, not one, to the artist. The artist never had an agreement with Doki or their management for even 1 PC, the first one they thought, the only one they thought they were building, let alone this second PC that was floating around as an idea. So buyer, saying, good to hear that your health is back on track. And the buyer says, my understanding in the beginning was it was supposed to be Doki would get one of each item herself. But I believe not long after she got a PC, and this probably fell off her radar of things she needed. So I'm not sure if there's a requirement to pair up builds to reduce the workload. So Doki then joins in, apologizing and moving the convo forward. So Doki says, hi, sorry for the late reply to all of this. I'll be reading through the replies. I'll be handling it personally instead of my staff since they're all busy, and it was my fault the PC stuff got delayed, since I didn't realize the miscommunication got this bad until I was dragged back in and notified about it a few weeks ago. I really apologize again for the delays on this auction item. If there's something you need from me and I don't reply back in time within 48 hours, just ping me again, because my messages get super swamped every day. Since I don't think I'll be needing another PC, we can allocate the funds to getting the buyer's PC made with the parts they want. Unless you'd like us to have similar PCs to share, I also don't mind as a special feature. Please feel free to let me know. So this is also weird and confusing. Again, Doki had mentioned on stream that she wanted a duplicate of every item so that she can match with the buyer. That's a cute idea. And that...
Yeah, which Which, okay, at the time, it's fine that she wanted, but we're going back just a bit year ago to this. Because, like, okay, that was probably the original intention, but this PC case artist individual, like, no updates or anything from months. Multiple management teams have had to reach out to you to even dig this far to this group chat situation. Doki's life moves on. She's fast-paced. She got her own PC, and she's willing to take the money that it would have cost to build the second PC and put it towards the parts for the new PC for the bidder. This should not be confusing. This is Doki working with this strange time situation that this artist is 100% partially responsible for at the very least.
Us to have similar PCs to share. I also don't mind as a special feature. Please feel free to let me know. So this is also weird and confusing.
Well, that's the thing. That's what she originally wanted, right? Doki originally wanted a copy for herself, so she'd have a twin with a bidder and stuff like that, and it was cool. But again, from the announcement of this project, this charity auction, to this point in time, it's been like 10, almost 11 months. I think it's been, 10 months. It's been 10 months by this point. And Doki, I'm sorry, but she would have liked that idea, but she had to move on. She had to get a new PC. So that's not going to be feasible anymore, but she will gladly put that additional money that she was going to use. And because again, like people are like, who's paying for this? Doki is. Doki is still the one paying for this. Doki is paying for all the PC parts of the original bidder. She's paying the artist for so a second item would again just be Doki paying for that. No one's asking for a donation or anything like that. Doki is the one who's sourcing the funds to put these cards together, have the art on the case made, and then sent to the bidder. That's what's happening.
Again, Doki had mentioned on stream that she wanted a duplicate of every item so that she could match with the buyer. That's a cute idea. And that wasn't made clear from the Tiltify. The starting bid for the Tiltify was set at $3,500. It was listed as for one PC. $3,500 for one PC. Here is a PC part picker of what the artist had made of a previous build the artist.
Which is, yes, for one PC. And then once that went through, and arguably if the artist had done their job, put together the PC and got it done in time, then what would happen is Doki would have paid you double the amount to make a duplicate to then send to her. The price on the auction for one PC is entirely appropriate because that's all the bidder is paying for. Doki pays the additional funds to get a duplicate item made for her to be sent to her privately. That doesn't need to be listed on the auction.
Made so you can get an idea of what you're going to get. Pulling a PC part picker of a previous build without consulting the artist first, not a good idea. The buyer states there's no need for matching PCs. Then list the desired specs. The artist expressed not being comfortable doing enterprise level builds, and the buyer understands. Going back and forth on parts and how the build would look like. A chicken versus egg situation happens where Management 3 asks for the part list to determine a quote, whereas the buyer and the artist want to know what the budget is before choosing parts. Below is a screen grab of a convo between Management 1 and the artist about payment that happened early 2024 when this project began. So this is what Management 1 said. Secondly, regarding the payment for the PC, I know that's probably up in the air at the moment, so we can stay in contact and figure that out as the project progresses or as we have a more clear idea of projected cost. I did base the market value off your previous builds, and we would like to stay around that general cost for the parts themselves. By the way, do you see this? We would like to stay around that general cost for the parts themselves. So Manager 1 is telling the artist, we would like to stay around that cost for the parts. The cost of the previous build, the 3,500 USD. So up until this point, the artist 1 thinks there's only one PC, but 2, the artist is under the assumption, very, very fairly, because this is exactly what they were told, that the 3,500 USD, which was a wrong number because it should be in British pounds, would be for parts. So the artist up to this point is assuming labor was going to be additional. Whereas Doki and I guess other management 3 is under the assumption the 3,500 USD, the wrong number, is for everything. Parts, PC build, shipping, which Doki said they would pay for everything, was going to be in that 3,500 number. For more context, the buyer had the intention of upgrading the build to their desired specs and was willing to pay out of pocket for the difference between the allotted budget and their desired build. The buyer says, I see. I was working with the mindset of Doki providing her budget, and with that amount, I know how much I may or may not need to add to the pot. For example, if the total was 4K and I'm only willing to contribute
Honestly,
2K.
I'm gonna say right now, I think Eli has it, or Ellie, sorry. I think Ellie has it perfectly. I don't know about Abundant Pig. I honestly think Cat is just really stupid. Is just posting whatever to get views. Well, here's the thing. She's not somebody who's just stupid enough to post whatever to get views. She's stupid enough to put together a document alleging, I don't even know what this is alleging, fraud or whatever. But she's like, she put all this that she's covering. It's not like she's just Rima, or she's false ID, or she's Salvi the Blue Squirrel. she's not covering information that's come out. She put this information together to then cover it. It's kind of like when Amber Heard wrote that article that then who put it up? I think the Sun. Yeah, I think the Sun magazine, tabloid, put it out. And then her defense was, well, it's their article. Yeah, but you wrote the article, so you can't escape judgment or liability by saying, oh, I'm just covering. No, you wrote the fucking thing you're covering, you maniac.
The total would be 6K. Or if the total was then 5K for the budget, I would add 2K and the total would be 7,000, which would give an additional 1,000 for me to choose parts I want. Thus, having an idea of how much I have to work with will undoubtedly affect my choices. So the artist says, I like to emphasize this point as I've been working with the same mindset, replying to the buyer about what the buyer just said. We're both waiting on a budget estimate from Doki as we can't move forward without at least a ballpark. The artist then expresses needing to hear from Doki to continue moving the project forward. And the artist says, at this point, I'm finding it hard to continue dedicating time to the project without Doki's personal involvement. She's the only one who can make key decisions on behalf of her business and her input is critical to moving things along. I keep sensing that this project might not make financial sense, and I'm generally concerned about the risk of not being compensated for the hours I've already put in. Since we don't have any form of contract yet, I haven't been able to establish standard creative industry practices, such as a kill fee. So far, I've already put in significant time with concept art, drafting up proposals, communications, but without a clear budget, I've been shooting in the dark and undercharging my services in the process, in an attempt to make this work with undefined parameters. I really hope that you can understand I can't put in any more hours or change the cost breakdown I've already given until I actually know what the upper limit financial constraints are and what the Doki team is doing to make this work. I want to feel like we're all aligned and giving our best effort to deliver a lovely product to a client who has been waiting for a year. And the buyer says, sad face, with that in mind, to keep the chat on topic, I'll refrain from doing what I said earlier so messages don't get pushed up. Refrain from narrowing down the list of parts. By the way, again, do I really need to indicate and show you guys just how much management is dropping the ball? Because why is it the artist and buyer being the proactive ones here? Being like, how can we get this to work? What's the budget? Like, we really need the budget to know what we can work on. Here's what I need from you. Please give me what I need. The management's just like yapping in the back, I guess. And Doki replied a day later. So Doki says, hello everyone, sorry again for the late reply. For the budget, it will be 6.
Why did you say a day later like it was bad? Like, a day later is pretty decent in terms of like business correspondence of any kind. Like to be, oh, a reply the next day, that's good, that's appropriate. And if 2-3 days have passed, I'm having a problem and I'm gonna probably like send out a reminder like, hey, just seeing what the status of this is, right? But like a day later is not a bad thing. I think you need to check your tone there, cat.
6 to 7K. I'm willing to squeeze an extra 300 to 400 USD if the parts go over due to the long wait. So the maximum I'm
putting everyone into a group chat, honestly, that is appropriate here. Doki watched and saw that there's clearly a communication slash log gem issue going on between the artist, the bidder, her staff, and so she decided to reach out and mediate and take on this issue hands on because she saw her management wasn't handling it right. So this seems all right to me. A day later is light speed considering it's been what, months by the 8th? Yeah, it's been 9 or 10 months, yeah.
willing to go will be 7.4K, depending on if the parts do go over budget a little bit. So the buyer responds, thank you for getting back to us. However, I believe there's still many points that need to be agreed upon before we may continue any further, specifically between Doki and Doki staff and the artist. If the price of raw parts of the build were originally slated to be around 3.5K, how much was additionally to be set aside for the artist's work? Their labor. Does a new budget upward of 7.4K include the cost of labor or not? If so, what percentage of it is supposed to be? Given how things have gone so far, is whatever previous estimate made for the artist's work still the same? And how does the new proposed base budget by Doki play with new estimates? Finally, it would be best if discussions on topics such as shipping, compensation, and some concrete estimates be made between Doki and Management 3 and the artist, probably using 3.5 to 4K of base parts as an estimate. Before work progresses any further, she mentioned wanting to adhere to industry practices, which I believe is a good idea. Without any formality, it makes it too easy for discussions, work to proceed before getting canceled and wasting even more of everyone's time. There are obviously additional administrative issues that I have not brought up and are out of my wheelhouse. As Doki previously stated, she will be handling this personally. She should raise such issues. I believe I should not be bringing this up. You know, this is the saddest part. The fact that the buyer is the one advocating for the artist to be paid fairly for their labor, when management number 3 was trying to get the artist to donate the PC for free. 3 cats in a trench coat would have done a better job than this management, honestly. I can totally see how this was well-meaning, but like the way it was set up was doomed to fail, and then the handling of it afterwards was atrocious. So
I love it. So even like, so remember, she just got through saying that management and everybody wasn't doing anything to try to get this right. But now that somebody clearly is, oh, well, it's not being done the right way. So I can see that, yeah, they're making it completely needlessly complicated. And again, Ellie, you're absolutely right. The artist has not done any work. This has all just been talk. So this is a like, I don't care who you are, like, this is a problem for Doki, this is a problem for Doki's management, this is a big problem for the artist. Like nobody is coming out minty fresh here. But I will say that the one time that we do see Doki reaching out is her grabbing everybody by the ear and dragging them into a group chat to fucking get this sorted. So I will say, as far as Doki is concerned, she's coming out smelling pretty good so far. Because again, I'm just looking at the only actions that we've seen from her is her reaching out and going, everyone, get into this fucking group chat and let's fucking solve this.
Management 3 brings up the total auction amount for the PC being $6,600 and suggesting a refund. So management writes, but keep in mind, the auction offer was $6,600 and Doki is already willing to up that amount. If it goes much further above that upped amount, then honestly, I suggest a refund at that point because from a management perspective, this already doesn't make much sense to me. But she feels very bad about the long wait and how things have been handled in the past by previous management. The buyer pushes back on this notion and suggests a build estimate. The buyer says, the auction was for charity. That number should not be considered the actual amount for the build. It could have been raised to $20K if we had additional dedicated bidders. Additionally, as it is charity, it is against the spirit to use that as the budget cost. I believe there should be an actual fixed price for this build that should have existed regardless of the charity auction bid. This is why I asked the question regarding the original and current budget. So the original build estimate was $3,500 for parts plus the artist labor estimated at auction time plus administrative
Well, that's
fees.
the thing.
So
She didn't say it like that, but we did see Doki's private messages to the artist and reaching out saying, hey, what's your Discord? I want to get a group chat together so we can prove this. And Doki did it much less blunt than I did. But Doki did essentially do that. She basically digitally grabbed the bidder, her staff, and this artist all by the ear, dragged them into a group chat, and basically she's brute forcing it. She's forcing this to be discussed and handled, and it seems like people are getting on her for this.
So the current build estimate is $3.5K for parts that are subject to change, plus the artist labor estimated at auction time, plus the artist labor post-auction, plus administrative fees and hassle fees, plus Doki's new contributions. The question is then who is paying for it and how much is the artist labor estimated at auction time? If this value and was always approximately $3,500, then Doki's new contribution might as well be zero, and I'll be responsible for any additional fees incurred. This is why I wanted clarification to all and more of the questions above. It is possible that the 7K figure which Doki has to contribute, the real cost of the build, has not changed, therefore leading to a convenient misconception that there were additional funds diverted to this now that Doki is not obtaining a PC from Redacted. Where again, it's confusing because there's so many moving parts, because there was the talk of the second PC. So in the previous estimate, the artist provided to management, they undercharged their labor at minimum wage because they felt pressure to accommodate the unspoken budget of $3,500. Again, the $3,500 USD quote is based only off PC parts and never accounted for labor costs. Remember, that was literally what management once said. Quote, I did base the market value off your previous builds and we would like to stay around the general cost for the parts themselves. End quote.
Can we ask, because we keep talking about labor, right? So if we're talking about labor, then it would behoove the PC artist / builder to have created an itemized list for the procurement of the parts, the application of the parts, and how long it took. This is your job as a contractor. If you contracted to do work on somebody's staff and you have to charge for labor, you need to put it in your fucking invoice. So we should have an hour amount of labor that this work that hasn't been done took. And I'm interested to see. Translated to over 200, why are you kidding me? 200 hours of work that wasn't done? Like, what the fuck?
Referring to $3,500 USD. The buyer advocates for the artist
Because
to
I'm going to assume that it still has not been, this has not been, rectified.
paid fairly for labor. So this is just me with a little tinfoil hat, okay? But to me, it smells like Manager 3 kind of wanted to try to beat down the artist and buyer enough times so that they could get the artist to say they were going to do the build for free, to give in essentially, or to do the build for not charging for labor so they could only have to pay $3,500 for parts USD and then he could get away with it. That's what it kind of feels to me like what Manager 3 is trying to do. You'll see later because the language gets a little manipulative in my opinion, but that's my little tinfoil hat theory, okay? I'm not claiming that's what that actually is what is happening. My little conspiracy theory.
I hate when people do that. Your conspiracy theory, it's good that you say that because it helps, it's okay, well, don't take this seriously, right? But it's still, it's irresponsible for you to just fly off the handle with wild conspiracy. Speculation is expected and encouraged here, but let's have it be healthy speculation based on the facts that we have. Not oh, hey, I think this is what happened, and then you just go fucking wild. That just seems irresponsible.
in my mustache over here. So the artist says, my rate at the time of auction would have been 32 pounds per hour. I've lightly tweaked the cost breakdowns these past weeks to match with market fluctuations for components, but being fully honest and open here, I am undercharging my fees at 13.85 pounds per hour, which is a UK London living wage. I thought that by undercharging, it could alleviate the financial pressure that seemed to be getting in the way with the budget, and I wanted to make sure the project got honored because it's for charity. The minimum base rate I should be charging is 32 pounds per hour. And then the artist responds to Doki getting a PC. The artist is like, wait, Doki was obtaining a PC from me? I'm out of the loop because I'm confused about an extra PC that keeps being mentioned. From my understanding of going through this, the only time Doki had mentioned getting like a second PC or like a duplicate was on stream. It wasn't mentioned in the tweets that Doki put out that the artist applied to be one of the people chosen to make stuff for the charity. And it was never mentioned in DMs to the artist. The artist had no idea. So again, how the hell did the artist find out over 10 months later that there was supposed to be a second PC?
You know what? That's a good question, but not for the reason that you think it is, Kat. But I want to know how the artist, then you know, like, look, if I'm commissioned for something, or I tweet out and I get the opportunity to work on something, right? I'm going to assume that I'm a fan of that, of whatever's being worked on, right? I'm gonna assume that I'm gonna look at the VOD announcing it for any details so I can get a head start on the work. I want to know how this artist, until just now, didn't realize that a second PC might be being built. Exactly. The first one has to be built before the second one is. But basically what you stumbled on the fact that you were going to be paid for building 2 PCs, but now you're only being paid to build 1. That's what you just found out. But had you already built and fulfilled your obligations regarding this PC build, you would know, oh wow, this is great, thank you so much. Can you make another one? Here's the money for it. That's how that would have happened. If this artist had done her fucking job and not pissed around for 10 months and then put it on them like it's their fault.
Management 3 explains how the charity auction was set up with a formula that makes absolutely no sense for how these functions typically go. It will be shown later as well, but typically for charity auctions, all items auctioned off are donated by generous donors. People bid on the item, and the total sum of what is bid on is donated to charity. For example, 5 people donate PCs. The host will then auction the PCs, they'll raise, I don't know, 100k, and thus all 100k minus processing fees will go to the charity. The host doesn't pay for PCs because it was explicitly noted they were a donation, with the sole purpose of raising the money for charity. This is the fault of the first management team that set this auction up. Most of the cases with charity auctions, again, people donate the item. Any amount donated, even if $1, that is profit. Not profit in your pocket, but profit for the charity to go to the charity as a donation. The issue comes up is if you're buying an item to then donate, and the item wasn't paid for yet, okay?
You're absolutely right. That's exactly how it was supposed to go, and how it would have gone, but this artist is somehow so brain dead, she didn't realize that, and then she's like, what, there's a second? No, there's not. Because you never made the first one. And now we're trying to freaking make things right with a bidder who put $6,600 down on this PC you still have not made. And here's the thing, if the original price was listed for $3,500, I'm sorry, but I would have worked within that. Guys, I could ask my chat, but how much really do you think the PC that you guys basically bought for me on Throw, that I put together, how much do you think it cost? I'm thinking it's probably a $1,200 to $1,700 PC. And it's very good. 64 gigabytes of RAM, only a single generation old GPU, very good top of line CPU. Everything's great, and I've still spent less than $2,000. Through you guys. I don't like the math is not mathy here.
That is why this screwed up so badly, because they're donating a custom commissioned item from an artist that was not completed yet. They never figured out how much it was supposed to cost. So when they set the original number, so it kind of makes sense to be like, well, whatever the product is, we're going to buy it. We're going to set the base cost. So the base cost will be the cost of the product, and then anything extra will go to charity. But you fail to consider hidden fees, operating costs, whatever. And especially when it comes to custom built PCs, a product that is really expensive to build. It's fair for it to cost the way it does, right? You pay for labor, the expertise.
Wait a minute. Labor, so she charged minimum wage. And minimum wage amounts to $42 an hour. $40 an hour is about what, like, a really good mechanic could probably charge 80. Your average mechanic can probably charge 40. So, yeah, I'm... Jesus Christ.
Right? Any little screw up, the PC doesn't work, high risk, high reward, those things are always going to cost more. But I think nobody in this process, including Doki, realized how expensive a custom PC is. The price was astronomically way too low. It should have been minimum bid 7.5k, like straight up minimum bid. And I feel like anybody with like custom PC experience, which I don't even have any really, would look at the 3.5k number and be like, how am I getting this for
Yeah, you know what?
this much? Because that's not adding up. It's way too low.
No, it's way too high. Nice try, Cat, but like you just said, you have no PC building experience. I have probably built I'd say 45 gaming PCs. It's something that I used to do. I'd offer it as a service when I was on my boat. Get a call on Creetosis or whatever, go over, work with them, go on PC part picker, build a budget PC for them. Usually $800 to $1,200 is what they would get in parts, and I would probably charge, God, maybe $150, $200 for the labor to put it together once the parts came in. That is what I would charge. I charge 72 hours for mechanic work on the side. Yes, Sparky's in, and I imagine you're probably a pretty good mechanic. I've heard you talk, and you definitely have the mechanic brain. So yeah, like I said, a good mechanic could get away with charging 80. An average, probably 40. But I'm glad I was pretty much close there.
But again, not the buyer's responsibility. So manager 3 says, hey buyer, I understand what you're saying, but you seem to be missing a few parts. Regularly in charity auctions, there is an existing item or service donated, and people bid on this, raising the maximum amount for a good cause. Previous management and Doki set this auction up totally differently. Basically, Dokibird is paying for a lot of these items fully herself. Might as well donate the money directly at that point in my view. Why this was set up this way baffles me until this day, and that's why, as you can sense, my need to stay within and around the offered amount, hence my remark. Which, okay, this also to me makes no sense. Quote, basically Dokibird is paying for a lot of these items fully herself, end quote. 1, that should never happen in a charity setup, but 2, Dokibird never spent a single cent at this point on this PC, from my understanding. I read
Yeah, because it hasn't been built. Because you guys are still talking about the fucking PC build. And did you just say she shouldn't do this when you were fucking... Oh my god. Okay. Okay, holy shit. We might have strike 1. Guys, we might actually have strike 1 here. Alpha Cat is not saying there might be more messages that are not shown. That's also true. But here's a problem. She highlighted the fact that Doki mentioned that she was going to be paying for these items herself out of pocket and including shipping. When Manager 3 mentioned that he had a problem with that, he said that she said Doki's a piece of shit for trying to guilt trip the artist into donating the PC, which again we know is not true based on what was said and everything. It was just a frustration Manager 3 had that was, conflated. And now that Manager 3 again is mentioning that Dokibird is paying for a lot of these items herself. You just said you should not be doing this in a charity auction. What do you think charity is? It's giving away money. It's paying for the what? Oh, okay, we're okay. We're okay. Yeah, and there's still no PC to pay for. That's the thing.
Through like the entire group chat messages between all of these people. A cent never left Doki's pocket at this point for this PC specifically, maybe for other stuff, not about the PC. I understand the artist POV, and I don't know how the original quote came to be without it being fully completed and transparent before the then Doki team communicated it during the auction. Hence, we got an odd situation that we need clarity on. We need a fixed pricing and what it would cost fully so we can decide further if everything fits correctly. I thought the money from the buyer went to charity and Doki is funding
Wait a minute, I just realized I missed a super chat. Thank you so much, Anthony. For the vibe, I literally just got a custom PC built for 3K. I can easily see the artist labor and art going from 1K to at least 2.5K for parts. Yeah, again, and it's just, God, it's just extremely weird. Hold on, 3K in dollars or pounds? The only thing that was a huge mistake was shipping part from Doki. Nothing has been done to require paying. Jeez, she's telling me really, yes, yeah, me too. Like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna skip this. I don't care. I want to see Doki's response and how Cat is coloring it, because she says responds and deflect. So clearly, this is not a response that Cat is accepting of.
Build. Doki writes, I'm on my vacation right now, but is there a way to find a middle ground regarding this? As the initial bidding was your option number 2. Even if it was in euros, which I was okay with accommodating, but now the price increased dramatically. I've had multiple PC builders that were in consideration when approaching me for the custom as a charity item, so it feels a bit out of a bigger mess to deal with, as I'm paying out of my own pocket for the final build that would cost more than what I was told initially, and a lot more than what the item was won for. I've actually been trying to fix this during my first vacation in years, so I apologize if I worded things wrong, because I'm typing on my phone while out. If I misunderstand from what I read, option 2 was proposed as a way to help out charity and for a good cause in the initial plannings for the auction. I'm hoping we can negotiate something that fits both, as it was a charity item for a good cause, and this has been an item that suffered the most issues. The opening bid should have been what the original base price was, with upgrades later if the bidding goes higher, so I hope to find a middle ground. If we don't, I understand, and if you feel uncomfortable and wish to take service elsewhere and focus your other projects, then I also understand, and I would look for other builders for the buyer, since I would try my best to give them the PC they've been waiting for. This to me is really gross. I'm gonna be straight blunt. I want to be empathetic. I get it. You're a busy creator. You're on your first vacation in years, so you want to relax, which is chill and all. Again, this wouldn't be an issue if this was sorted like a way longer. You know, like if you responded faster before your vacation, then this wouldn't have been an issue over your vacation. But But this to me reads very manipulative because I'm on my vacation and it's the first one I've done in like years. That's not the buyer or the artist's problem. You know, the buyer and the artist spent so long trying to get you guys to respond, trying to move this forward, and you guys keep like spinning things back. And then two, I want to break this down. Regarding this as the initial bidding was your option number 2. The initial bidding was not option number 2, meaning the artist undercuts their wages and charges minimum wage. That wasn't the initial bidding. The initial bidding was only for PC parts and never accounted for labor. So that's wrong. And then 3, even if it was in euros, which I was okay with accommodating. This to me also reads manipulative because what do you mean? You have to be okay with accommodating this because you plus your team.
Now what, you know what, now. No, this right here. Okay, so let's see here. What I call it even hour id. And the remaining 44 minutes. Yeah, the remaining 44 minutes here. Right here. Yeah. Actually, let's do this. There. 43, excuse me. 43 minutes. Is her basically going into, oh, I never charged Ali for game console repairs or computer bills and repairs. It's all set rate. It's crazy to put an hour. No, I agree, because I've never put an hourly rate. Like, I could then here's the thing, I could translate what I charge into an hourly rate, but that doesn't mean it is an hourly rate, if you know what I mean. So this is just, yeah. Well, no, this just like at this point, and I'm stopping the video here. We're moving on now officially to the Doki's document response. Because the reason why is, it says right here, Doki responds and deflects. And based on that couple minutes of how, like, her vernacular, her body language, she is manipulating us by contextualizing Doki's response as being disingenuous. She can't read that with a fucking snippy asshole voice and say, yeah, she was being an asshole. Yeah, because you contextualized it in your tone. You know, I would get admonished by a judge for doing that if I was actually talking. Like, if I was reading out from a transcript or anything like that, right? You need to read it out as it says. You need to read it out with a neutral tone. You cannot contextualize it or add tone or flair to it because it dishonestly colors the narrative of what's been said. So her doing this, like, oh yeah, what did it here? Let me see here. Hold on. Go over here, Dokibird.
Built. Doki writes, I'm on my vacation right now, but is there a way to find a middle ground regarding this? As the initial bidding was your option number 2. Even if it was in euros, which I was okay with accommodating, but now the price increased dramatically. I've had multiple PC builders that were in consideration when approaching me for the custom as a charity item.
See, right there. So right here, she's doing good. She is saying neutral and
so it feels a bit out
right?
of a bigger mess to deal with, as I'm fix this during my first as a way to help as a charity item before it goes higher. Then I'll be straight blunt. I want to be empathetic. I get it. You ordered like a way, because I'm on my vacation and it's the first one I've done in like years. That's not the buyer or the artist's problem.
See, right there. So, I'm gonna give her half a point. I'm gonna give her half a point of journalistic integrity because she went through it first, and she did it neutrally. But you went through again, and you added all this tone and sassiness. She reads Doki's response in the tone I would use to mimic my brother when he made me mad as a child. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I have a problem with it, because I was okay with her upwards until she went, oh, I'm gonna be blunt, and then she just added all of her fucking delusions to it. Because, like, I don't, like, people, this is what happens, though. People, I could read this out verbatim in a neutral tone, and there are people who really like, oh my god, yeah, I'm on vacation right now. And let's not even milk and find regarding the initial bidding was your option. Even if the zero now is okay comedy, now price increases dramatically. I've had multiple, see, I could make it sound like a dick too. Or, I'm on vacation right now, but is there a way to find middle ground regarding this as the initial bidding was your option number 2, even if it was in euro, which was I was okay with accommodating. But now the pricing increases dramatically. So you can add tone to text, however, so you have to add it neutrally. You cannot color it with your fucking perception. So, because of that, we're done with this. I'm not interested in what you have to say anymore because it's all, this whole little section here is just opinion. So, let us move on to Doki's actual response, shall we? Can't wait for that. Okay, here we go. Not Cinder. Full statement on the charity. Here we go. Bam. Now I click this one. And it does that. We add some, background music. When the VTuber who commissioned you doesn't grovel like a little cockroach in front of you, the artist is trying to rip them off. Yeah, for real. Okay, so here we go. This is from Dokibird. If you guys want a link to it, it's also in the description down below. Oh, am I pouting? If I was, I didn't even realize it. Okay, so, here we go. Bada bing, bada boom, here we go. So, a full statement on the charity option and recent allegations. We're gonna go through this pretty good. Okay, here we go. To everyone following the situation regarding the charity option, I want to address the claims that have been circulating particularly in a recent video. This has been an incredibly difficult experience, but I believe the full story deserves to be heard. First and foremost, I accept that the handling of this auction item was far from ideal. I want to sincerely apologize to those impacted, especially the winner, for the delays and confusion, and I tremendously appreciate the patience and support the winner has shown me. I take responsibility for how things unfolded, but I also need to be transparent about the challenges that were taking place behind the scenes, many of which have not been shared publicly until now. I feel that it's time that I share this with everyone, as I have come to terms with it. Okay, give me a second here. I'm gonna take a nice big old gulp of this monster and reset my brain because I keep stumbling over random words. So hold on. Yummy yummies. What this feels like to me, thank you for the 5 by the way. What this feels like to me is the artist was asked to build a PC for 3.54 and then saw how much the auction went for and wants more money. Yeah, cause remember, I told everybody to keep in mind that screenshot earlier. So let's see. Okay, so I feel that it is time that I share this with everyone, as I have come to terms with what has occurred in the summer. There we go, finally. Okay, I can talk again, I can read, I can fight. Let's fucking do this, chat. Okay, oh no, I already fucked it up. No, At the time this auction was concluding, I was in the middle of a serious and distressing transition. My previous management team had taken full control on my brand, and I was actively working with my lawyers and police to reclaim ownership of Dokibird. I remember this. In fact, I think we covered like a little bit of it, and I think I talked on it a little bit on some other streams and stuff like that. But I do remember that did happen. During this time, I was also forced to move out of my home under police supervision, a situation so severe and required formal reports and the help of personal friends and staff. It was during this incredibly turbulent time that the charity item fell into the hands of my team while I was trying to survive and restart my life from the ground up. This is really sad to read. I won't go into too much detail, but this screenshot is a snapshot of how bad it was. She just laughed. Oh no, oh no. I'm sorry, I just, does this have to do with... No, let's see. She just left. I won't have a small window tired to leave the apartment before she comes back. Are the police coming? Because I won't be home and they do. Exit the apartment. They're almost there. Unpack it. Oh, no. This reads very specifically to me as a very specific thing. But, yeah, let's turn this down just a bit. Actually, you know what? We're gonna change the BGM. We need something more serial. we'll do, okay, I think this is it. All right, here we go. So to be fair, my team and I were under a lot of pressure. They still came out of this and had to immediately start to pick up the pieces of the business, and during this time there was no attempt for the other side to follow up or reach out after the initial silence. My staff wasn't sure how to proceed, and I truthfully was overwhelmed and unable to manage the situation while trying to reestablish basic stability in my personal and professional life. Hey Doki, there's a metric ton of work that's still unfinished on my dress, and as much as I'd like to give the room to let you settle in the move, shit needs to get done. We can't keep pushing things back. It's already unprofessional that things have been delayed this long. The charity option still has multiple items that need addressing, the most important being the custom PC, which has still made no progress, and I've reached out to another inquiry as to where the plan for it is. Bottom line is there needs to be new builder rates, or at least a budget, 6.6k, allocated to either build the thing or reimburse the bidder in full. Okay. Let's see here. Eventually, I stepped back in personally to handle a PC build when it became clear it was dragging on too long. I contacted the builder myself and was informed of a prior medical emergency. Still, no follow-up ever came from them afterward, despite some months passing, and I had to initiate contact again. That's what I fucking thought. I was pretty sure, like Teach, she said it's all like my medical issues, and that you can't just say medical issues and then just not say anything for months afterwards. That's entirely inappropriate. As for the auction process itself, the starting bid was always intended to reflect the cost of the item. This was standard across all auction pieces, and my artists we work with can confirm this. I was confused when the PC build kept increasing in quarter price from 6k to 8k to 12k, then 14k. What the fuck? I'm sorry, 14k? What? But no consistent rationale. I even offered to pay more than the original bid due to the delays, but the shifting figures and eventual threat of daily penalties. What? For missing an arbitrary deadline left me overwhelmed and unsure if I could continue the partnership. The builder provided irrational hours in the time log, asking for obscene amounts of services we never agreed on. Eventually, I was told I'd owe a 4k cancellation fee that I had not agreed to any. Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? There was no contract signed between me, Dokibird, and them directly. Here is one who closely cites us. Oh hell no. Oh hell no. There it is. Case, a $900 case. $300 motherboard? Really? Only what? You're gonna skimp out on the motherboard? Oh my god, guys, it's my I'm pretty sure this is my fucking my CPU. The AMD Ryzen 9 7900X. I think that's it, yeah. And the cooler, it's the same cooler, I think. I do not have a GeForce. Storage? Not available. What the fuck? What's this? Project production labor? Pre-project labor estimate? 40 hours? What the fuck is this? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Oh my god. No fucking way. 40 hours of labor. And for 40 hours of labor, it's apparently $6,351. The timesheet they claim to have accumulated already for 120 hours. What? which my staff and I found untruthful, especially when I was not shown any proof of labor. We requested if there was a way to provide us proof, which was then also ignored. Yeah, I think we're starting to catch on to what's going on here. And wow. And Kat decided to fucking make this video when, oh man, you piece of dinky-doo. Let me tell you, Dinko man, how's it going? Okay, let's see here. We requested, yeah. Okay, calculator simplified timesheet, here we are. Oh my god, yeah, here it is. Hours worked 8. I'm like clockwork, are you kidding me? You are billing them for a full-time job. What is this? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. You can rebuild a cat engine for that price. That's no contract to start. Leave it to the Twitch howl to side my scum. Okay, wow, Jesus Christ. Throughout this, I asked... Wow, good job, Doki. It's only 7 pages long. Freaking love Doki. Okay, throughout this, I asked for one thing multiple times. A time-lapse video of the PC build that was drafted, which the builder themselves had originally said existed. Okay, they told us it existed, and I asked if I could see it, but I was then ignored. I even stated in writing that I would pay the full amount, no questions asked. Despite multiple requests by me and my staff via email, it was never delivered. At this point, the builder's behavior was showing bad faith to me, the buyer. Absolutely, Doki, you are correct. We have requested these items multiple times in various emails and DMs, and you have stated that you would provide them, but we still have yet to receive the items. We said that we are willing to provide compensation if these items were provided, so we do not understand why this has been ignored multiple times. See, that's a nice thing. Doki's been in close contact with our lawyers since last summer for unrelated reasons, but it means that hey, guess what? This was definitely ran by the lawyers, and that's why they asked for proof of labor. Dokibird team, hi. We have never agreed or communicated on any pricing of anything for you to make a quote for us that this would be a chargeable service, nor the company does this, and you did not make it clear to us you are charging us for this as a service in any way, shape, or form. When we reached out to you in 2025, yeah, okay. You did not inform us that every time we interact, it would be charged. What the fuck, really? You claim to have worked in the past before 2025 with Dokibird Production Inc. on things regarding a mock-up created about a year ago, and that you wish to get paid for those services provided, and that item isn't on your timesheet and wasn't charged? This raises even more questions on our end because you stated that mock-up was the work that was being charged for until you added the other items later on with no tangible proof, wrapped up as services that weren't communicated that this would cost money or further discussed, signed or approved on. You have also disappeared for 6 months without notifying us in the beginning until 2 different managements gave up talks with you. We also still have yet to receive the time-lapse video which we requested multiple times, and you have stated that you would provide it to us. If you do not have the time-lapse video, then please tell us the truth that you do not have the video. God damn. Then came to incredibly personal accusations that crossed the line for me. That I was pocketing charity money and that I did this for a tax write-off. Oh, really? These were not only false but deeply hurtful. All money from the bids went directly to the charity through Tiltify, which we know how Tiltify works, yeah. I paid artists out of pocket, including shipping and production costs, and in some cases even covered or increased their rates myself. To be accused of using this for personal gain was crushing, especially as someone who has consistently tried to share what I have with others. Due to how emotionally charged the situation became, I chose to step away and let my team manage it more professionally. I was on a rare, long-awaited vacation at the time, while also suffering from severe food poisoning, and trying to resolve the situation behind the scenes. This was well documented on stream and on social media. Anyone who knows me, I do remember that. I remember seeing that she was done with food poisoning. Could Doki have Kat take the video down via the... Yes, she could force a DMCA on it, probably. Or she could actually just, like, C&D and ask her to take it down. But I don't know that Kat would do that. That's kind of the thing. So let's see here. This is Dog, yeah. This was to Japan for my first Alien Apex event. Yes, I do remember that. Eventually I worked with a new PC builder using my hype case. I upgraded all the parts at my own expense and tried to spend nearly 10k to deliver what was promised. Unfortunately, Amazon canceled my parts order shortly before the winner's travel date, meaning we could no longer deliver the PC in time. At that point, the winner and I mutually agreed that I would send them 7.5k to build their own non-Zane PC, which we considered the matter resolved. Well, she made it right. So clearly something was... Yeah, no, I misspoke when I said DMCA. That's why I switched to cease and desist. I did misspeak there. Do not DMCA Tat, you can't do that. But you could send her a cease and desist and ask her to take it down that way. Anyway. So, basically, there were a whole bunch of... But actually, you know what? I will say this. Where is it? Amazon canceled my parts order shortly before the winner's travel date. So that right there. That happened with our GPU. It was fully funded, and then Amazon came back and went, oh, well, the price went up, so you pay us more money. So what we had to do is we had to take that money, buy a less powerful, by only one generation GPU, and then roll that money that we had into that, which we were able to do, but this does happen. And Amazon will just kind of fuck you over like that, so, you know. So here's it. Yeah, here it is. Order placed, thanks. There's the... Here are all the parts that were... Oh... About $10,000. 2 days later, the video was posted after the payment had already been made and the issue had been settled. The video description and pinned comment were edited after the fact to say I had paid the auction winner, but it falsely implied I only did so because of public pressure. That's them. Oh yeah, we saw that actually. Or I saw that, rather. I'll bring it up in the description. You set 7,500 too. Okay, yeah, that looks okay. Which, the sheets that she doesn't need to show, but she's coolly showing it. I didn't screenshot anything from the conversations in the Discord group because I had hoped to resolve this privately. Good on you, Doki. Without dragging it into the public eye, but in hindsight, that was naive. I've always tried to avoid public conflict, but now I'm being forced to defend myself from a one-sided narrative. Don't worry, Doki, we got your back. The pain cuts deeper when I see people claiming I didn't want to pay because it was the most expensive item. That's not true. I paid for other auction items valued even higher, and this was never about avoiding payment. It was about trying to navigate an increasingly confusing, emotionally fraught, and mismanaged situation in the middle of one of the hardest years of my life. For context, I've always tried to treat the artists I work with fairly. Sometimes I pay late because I'm overwhelmed or unwell. As my community knows, I face numerous health and personal challenges lately, but I always pay. I've covered late fees, offered bonuses, and donated to artists in need. To now be accused of being manipulative or exploitative, and that's when we ended. And here's the thing: a lot of these claims are probably happening from the amount that I decided I didn't want to watch because I felt that it was going to be too defamatory. In a future stream, I will probably go over just that section, but for right now, you guys know me, I don't like to platform defamatory content, and I could see where it was going as soon as her tone changed and she started talking about how Doki's being manipulative and stuff. So I ended the video there. We might continue it later, but I could tell that's where it was going on, and from this context, I feel like that's what happened. So, let's see here. I'm not perfect, I get emotional, I'll talk from the heart, not always from this only place, and yes, I should have kept some personal matters out of these conversations, that's on me, but I'm only one person trying to keep everything afloat. To be called a manipulator or gaslighter, when all I've done is try to fix things, learn and grow, is deeply unfair. This entire experience has broken my heart. Your statement was not something I ever wanted to write, but after being repeatedly asked to say something, and after having personal pain used for public drama, I felt exploited and I felt I had no choice. I hope this is the only time I'll have to speak on this. Moving forward, I will no longer be handling direct negotiations for my brand. I've learned that my emotional communication style makes me vulnerable for being misunderstood or misrepresented, and I don't want that to affect others. I hope people will take a moment to hear the full context, not just the most viral part of the story. Thank you to those who've shown patience, understanding, and support. Apologies for my break this week because I am tired. All I want to do is spend time with my closest and only family right now, as my dog had just got home after surgery and rehabilitation. I'm still learning, I'm still healing, and I'm still trying to do better every day. There you go. Could tell from the beginning, honestly, you gave the video a lot of leeway. I did. I gave it more than I usually do because we were specifically covering this situation. When there is Dokibird's response, I will say, especially with these receipts, given that these receipts are more than just managers bitching about shit and other things like that. These are like itemized receipts. Like, this is from the art. The artist never would have showed us this. Cat never would have showed us this. This is absolutely disgusting that you tried to use a charity auction to fucking make bank off of somebody you thought could afford it. And the reason why I say that is because of this right here. Oh, interesting that iBuyPower are involved. If it's their marketing executive producer, then this is definitely gonna be big. So, do you guys now understand why I put this aside? I put this aside because I knew it would become relevant when we looked at this document. Basically, what happened is somebody tried to scam Dokibird. Dokibird handled it properly and privately, and Kat decided to stick her fat tourist nose into the VTuber space once again and go to bat for somebody who was clearly attempting to profit off of a charity auction. Pretty shitty in my opinion, and I stand by my title and my thumbnail. Dokibird was scammed and she was slandered by Kat. Now notice I said slandered, I didn't say defamed. I'm not using any legal definition to describe her actions because I honestly don't know if anything was actually defamatory. We still have 44 minutes of content to go through in another time. But I can say that it was quite slanderous what she had said. Maybe it doesn't mean any actual legal definitions, but you definitely knew what you were doing when you did this. And if you didn't, then I'm going to just pull the old your own medicine and go, well, you should have known. You should be always aware of what your brand's saying and putting out and blah, blah, blah. Clearly you're not, Cat, and that's clearly a problem. Anyway, I hope everybody liked this coverage for the last, 2 hours and 20 minutes. If you like this content, don't forget to, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell as hard as you possibly can. And we will see you all on the next one.
In the anime underworld, crimes against the culture are considered especially heinous. In Otaku City, the dedicated detectives who investigate these violations are part of an elite squad known as the Special Weeb Unit.
You're gonna be doing this.
You are coping the ceiling. You just can't believe what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping the ceiling. The truth it is all day, and now you are more.